Hello, I am the Ronin Pawn, and welcome to a twitch.tv/Ronin Pawn live stream on a twitch.tv/Ronin Pawn. That's right. Pull up a chair next to me here at the diner, and we'll sit down and we'll have ourselves a hot cup of black coffee, and we'll get ourselves a American truck out on the road, a Peterbilt kind of a thing, and we'll drive her from this here country all the way over to like 3 states over, because that's all that's really in the game at this present point in time. But we're getting there. Welcome to a twitch.tv/Ronin Pawn live stream. How'd you like the premiere video event that you missed if you're watching this on the VOD, because it doesn't come through on the VOD? We premiered a brand new video by the Ronin Pawn. Ronin Pawn and Brandon Fry. Those are the 2 people who worked on it, whoever they were. And if you missed that video, indeed, and would like to see it on your own time, then you can visit that video today at Brandon Fry's in our production channel, and it's there. And it's there. It's over there. It's more like there. It's more like sort of here-ish. Here-ish is where it is. I'm gonna have the just a low pressure front moving up and through and into my nostrils and then out, and it's just gonna be cold year-round in fucking Detroit. I don't know what the hell to do about it. Your mic is horrible, says Noah Craw. My mic is horrible. Your horrible is Mike, too. Really? Well, it sounded fine last time, and I didn't change anything. Hang on. There we go. Is that better or not? Is it better or is it worse? Or is it worse or is it better? Oh, yes. Yes, Paul, it is. Yes, it's rather bad. Well, there's the video in case you can hear me now. Again, okay, so here's what happened. You remember that, it ain't now. It's not a problem. Jack! No, my compressor's still working. So, you remember last live stream, we had a whole thing about how, Windows Update had come down and it screwed up my audio, and it took up like 30 minutes of the beginning of the live stream, because Microsoft sent a patch down and it fucked everything up. That patch came down on the other computer. So today I spent another half hour, 45 minutes fixing the shit that a, regular default Windows Update patch caused. The capture wasn't working, the audio wasn't working, mouse without borders stopped working. Thanks, Microsoft. Thank you. It sounds like it's behind a wall, as if it's your webcam microphone. Oh! I'll bet anything that it is! I'll bet anything that it is! Because, yeah, you don't know until you try, do you? Oh, I'll bet anything that it is. Hang on. You just give me just 9,000 seconds here. Microphone, HD Pro webcam, C920. Yeah, thanks, Microsoft. Thank you for changing. My settings. Thank you for doing that. Thanks. Thanks, Microsoft, for pushing down updates that rewrite registry values. House Flipper Wednesday, says Rookie84. I'm thinking more of an American Truck Simulator Wednesday, is what I'm thinking about. Yeah, after all the 45 minutes spent, and Microsoft still found a way to, there's an extra setting that they slipped in that they did, and then they twisted the fucking knife in my, no, it's fine. I'm not gonna let it color my entire live stream like it tends to do. Okay, SCS software. We know your audio is loud! Congratulations! You managed to get your audio to come through, Microsoft. Cheer 5. Cheer 5. Cheer 5 cheered a guy called Jim. He cheered 5, he did. I swear he did. Shit. Cheers are broken, says a guy called Jim. I've got a new copy of the ice cream thing in there that was working last time, and then I fixed it. So I fixed it. I cheered twice, says a guy called Jim. Keep cheering. It'll eventually come through. It's completely between me and Twitch now, so this is my software problems at this point. God, I broke everything, didn't I? I broke everything, didn't I? Fucking, at least it's me this time. You know, it's almost like refreshing. It's kind of nice to be able to say, you know what? That's on me. That's not on Microsoft. That's not on Nobot. That's on me. Can we cheer yet? Says Zorglab. Well, you can ice cream. Very well. Tell you what I can do real quick. Over the course of the next 52 minutes. Here's what I can do. Hey, what if we started out this Zendnesday in American Truck Simulator with yet more technical issues? Guys, here's what's gonna happen. Eventually, this is just gonna make me so much fucking money. Me and Noah. It's gonna be worth it all in the end. Go away, American Truck Simulator, because apparently the live stream is completely fucking knackered. Who cheered? Who ice creamed? I saw ice cream. Windows Update ballsed up my sound. It got all of the sound outputs muddled, and now my subwoofer is connected to my mic in, says Rookie84. Yep! Yep! Imagine if you had a live stream where two computers were trading sound off in order to, and you had to route things specially, and you had virtual sound cards in place along with, and imagine all the people who'd want to kill themselves. Only part that's working is the part that's being sent by SSE. Sorry. I will get my front end where it's just impossible to test the front end when you're talking directly to Twitch unless you can get people to cheer while you're testing it, you know? So what we're going to do is we're going to go into my proprietary code. Don't steal it. And I think what I'm going to go ahead and do, I don't see this as being a problem. It could be a problem, but I don't see this as being a problem. I'm going to reopen the listeners for Nobot, and we will take all of the information from Nobot today. I eventually mean to, hey Pawn, add if Twitch client fails to connect, notify, then use Nobot. I mean to do that in my code, eventually. But for now, what we'll do is we'll open up the listeners so that if Twitch starts working, we'll end up getting doubles. But since Twitch doesn't seem to be working, that should just function, just the way that ice cream is functioning. So we'll go with that. I will now do the tricky little thing that I have to do every time I work with this, which is with a mouse without, well, no, not mouse without borders. I got to get my files from my development directory, drag them across, off the screen, over to the other computer, drop it over there, and then switch monitors. Switch monitors is the next thing that I have to do that you can't see, and it's very visually entertaining. I'm going to learn to juggle liquor bottles and make drinks while we're having these technical issues from now on, just to make it a little bit more fun to watch. Because if you notice every scene that's ever like in a bar or something like that, there's always somebody in the background. Like they make sure and keep things active. You know, it's just a thing. It's just a thing in videography. You know, there's always got to be something moving in the background. Two people having a conversation right in front of the camera, not interesting enough. You got to have a guy in the background doing, just circus performer doing their thing. Okay, I overwrote the thing. Switch monitors on both of the monitors. Come back in, reload the deal, and we'll see if the SSE events can take care of us. Give me a refresh on this. And who wants to cheer and test it? I don't even know if I actually just finished the copy process. I might not have. And see, every time I do it, it actually makes another copy here and then drags it over to the Mouse Without Borders. Really incredibly powerful software for them to be given away for free. Let me tell you. Ice Cream. Parallel just subscribed with a Tier 1 subscription. Parallel Tier 1? Parallel subscribed for 9 months in a row. Parallel, I see you shiver with anticipation. That's Parallel is saying that. Parallel. Thank you for your subscription if it was a thing that actually happened. I don't know. I found in development that's really annoying that you can't get test events from Twitch, says Noah Craw. Isn't it, though? Isn't it? Okay, so maybe it's working. Maybe it's not. Buddy, cheered. Okay, Parallel cheered. Parallel cheered. Dan's Game 10, this is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill, says Cavoodle. I did subscribe, but you broke Twitch, says Parallel. I did break Twitch. Is there... quit looking at my emails. I don't have, like, an extra copy of it open. There's no extra person connected. Rodentborn Mage Lord Exilbirth also subscribed. Thank you, Mage Lord Exilbirth. Subscribed for 8 months in a row. Subscriber, Mage Lord Exilbirth. Not only have I given you $40, I've funded you playing this game. Am I MVP yet? Because you broke Twitch, says Mage Lord Exilbirth. I didn't break Twitch. Twitch went and broke itself. How is it that ice creams are working and subs aren't? And also, the other things aren't, and the other things aren't. How could... They're all listening over the SSE now. Let me just double, triple confirm that. So if I, come over here, edit with Notepad, and then go down and look at this. Yes, that's the latest version of the ice cream build. Maybe it's pulling it from memory. Instead of, I'll tell you what I'll do, I'll change the build that we're running off of to an earlier build, which actually half works, so if we have to, I can just run it on that, and then apply again. SSE is connected. Can't break what's already broken, says Cavoodle. Yeah. Twitch could make this system so much easier to work with. They really could. Yeah, but the version of the document that we're using is the version that I expect it to be using. It's been updated locally. Pop open Notepad++ again and see if, I don't have the console open, and if I had the console open, then that would prevent me from being able to use it. No, you don't have a version of the console open on your end, do you? Because you get two users listening to the same events and things go down again. Yeah, Pawn, open SSE, open it. Oh, I tore it open, baby. What's Noah saying now? Get the method object from and then the other thing. Sure, it's not even on. I don't even have that screen up right now. No, I have that screen up. It's a very complicated system. Somebody who's got 5 bits throw. I don't know what the hell that means. Nobody knows what that means. Somebody throw 5 bits at me and let's see if a cheer comes through. Like, I'm gonna throw nickels at you for nothing? Come on. What are you, a wishing well here? Tier 5, throw! This is Major Lord Exobirth. Nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Huh! So, we're gonna do what? Oh! Hello, what's that? Well, that's an ice cream. Pawn, I'm hosting you right now. And the host didn't come through either. Brilliant. So I guess what we're doing is we're running on the old version that does not, it half semi-almost works. It doesn't show the number of bits, it doesn't show your username, but your messages come through and it does cause it to bling, unless this is an entirely different problem that's new and oh god. So this will not be listening to SSE events except for ice cream. This will be going straight to Twitch's API. And there we go. Well, let's play a video game. What if? Let's talk some Zen. What if we did any of those things, eh? Noah, Twitch broke. Fix Twitch, Noah. Noah, fix Twitch. American Truck Simulator. Last time we tried to open ATS, since I had changed over computers, I had lost my save file. It was gone. Guess what's back, baby? Guess what's back? Cavoodle is ice cream. Everything is fine. Move along. Nothing to see here, says Cavoodle. Thank you for your subscriptions. We are going through growing pains as we develop the most awesome interface that ever, but, it's not going to work right now. But it'll work eventually, and then it'll be the most awesome interface, and you'll just want to pay us for access to it, hopefully. The plan. Welcome to American Truck Simulator. Where were we? Doesn't matter. It's reset me, because I put the save file back in, and it went, what the hell's going on? So wherever we happen to be, this is where we are now. We're in Reno, and look at all of the unlockses that I've done in this world. I've been all over these lands, from California to Arizona to New Mexico and Nevada, and also that's it. Because they just 4 states. 4 states. Come on, guys, do Texas. I know it seems big, but it's mostly just fucking desert. Just wide open nothing. Just put some nothing in there. It'll be fine. Tumbleweeds roll across, See some contractors out building a wall occasionally as you're driving past. That's all you need to represent Mexico. It'll be fine. Be fine. Get in there. Hammer her out. Won't take but a minute. Quick job, just like this thing that Noah and I are trying to build. Ice cream. The reason is because the bot can break, the server can fail, the entire world outside of Twitch's servers and my PC can cease to exist, my overlay will still function, then Twitch's servers fail. Says Noah Craw. Did they? Is it actually Twitch's servers are down right now or something? Is that? So my code is solid. We don't know. I have no idea. We'll need a post-mortem report. Noah, make up another thing in our Google Document Center for post-mortems. Why the fuck didn't this work on this day? We need to track this. From wherever, I'm in Reno. Where's Reno? There it is. I'm in Reno. What do you guys want to ship in Reno today? You want to send some cars, or some construction houses? Is it just gonna be like... He's talking about... like assemblable houses? Is it just gonna be in a trailer behind me, or am I going to actually be calling like a mobile home? Which is not, they don't like being, it's a what is it? It's a mobile home park. It's not a mobile home, it's a manufactured home. Yeah. Yeah, let's pour some wine out of the box in our manufactured home. Quit trying to church it up! You live in a mobile home! If I could put... It's got wheels on it. I could hook up and tow you to another place. It's a mobile home. Just get over yourself. I lived in them for... most of my life, actually, has been spent in mobile homes, so... But for fuck's sake, Twitch, Ronan Pawn, that's a quote from you. I just found it ironic, says Noah Crow. Well, once it's working, once I can get a connection to Twitch that I can test, then it's just between me and Twitch. And that's the whole point, is that the bot won't fail. And I just turned on the SSE and I couldn't get it from no bot either. Is it really that Twitch is down? Because that would explain why the SSE events aren't coming through either, because then no bot isn't receiving. I don't know. I don't know. Post-mortem. Someone. I'm gonna take these construction houses to Socorro, New Mexico. Which is, you just have to go through a bit of Japan to Socorro. That's how they pronounce it. Socorro! New Mexico! Might be those single-wide buildings, says Rubber Ducky. I would love to be towing a single-wide. Trailer. That's what they don't like to be called. Trailer homes. It's not a trailer. Well, I can put it on one of these and call it a trailer. I don't think I've ever picked anything up from a place like this before, or dropped anything off. They do keep adding content, don't they? I do not recall these events, Senator. And my lawyer has advised me to plead the fifth. I don't remember being at, like a... What is this? Is this just like a... Yeah, it looks like a apartment building under construction or something like that. Behind me, in the mirror that you can't see that's behind Twitch, I'm seeing some of that. Where am I going and how am I getting there? You're going out and to the right. And then immediately to the right again. Hello, Post-Ed. I gotta get on the road. We gotta knock this fence down. We're gonna knock this fence, so maybe just swing a little bit wider there. It's been a minute since we ATS'd, okay? I remember how to hit people and run into things and break the game. I remember how to pull a U-turn on the highway. I'll tell you that. I'm pretty good at it, in fact. Ronan Pwan, I already did it, says Noah Crow. What did you did? The post-mortem? Cool. Major Lord Exobirth, ice creaming. I doubt it has anything to do with the truck customization DLC I sent you, but I'll take credit for the stuff you haven't seen anyway. Oh, thank you! Major Lord Exobirth for sending me the heavy truck things. Now I can pull construction houses which come from these yards. That's what's going on here. Is it L for... No, that's for lights. P for wipers. Right, I remember. I remember. And this is, America. We turn right on red. So... F off. Do I have the windows down? Windows seem strikingly clean. If I don't have them down. Especially in a rain. No, they're spotting on it. Okay, they're spotting. It's that time of the month for the rain. Okay, Pawn. Welcome to American Truck Simulator, another Wednesday, Zendnesday, and another live stream of the Ronin Pawns where we don't have any... Holy shit! We don't have any technical difficulties here. They're moving the crane! And the shadow, from wherever the hell the crane is. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, wait a second. If I, where's the crane? It's way the fuck up. I can't even look there from, there, from over top, from here. Yeah, sit behind me and wait. I'm looking at cranes. Where's a view that I can't see the crane from any of them. But it's up there. Neat. Okay, now I'll be late and everyone behind me is pissed off. It's okay. This is America. We go straight on red. That's what we do. Raining in Nevada, says Rubber Ducky. The once yearly rain. That's what this is. Talking about the cab decorating DLC. That's the most recent one I sent you anyway, says Major Ducky. Is it? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Something, chronic fatigue, short-term memory loss. I don't... I can't... Now that you say that, I do seem to recall that. But as through a glass darkly. To quote, like, the Bible or some shit.
Vaguely is all that they meant to say there, but it's the Bible, so... As through glass darkly, because back then glass, you know, the best of it was just... It's basically just a brick wall. It was, oh, this is nice glass, it's so smooth, I can't see anything through it. How are we doing on gasoline? We got lots of gasoline. How are we doing on my truck not falling apart? Truck is not falling apart. How are we doing on me having the cheapest truck that you can possibly buy in the game, even though I have $711,000 burning a hole in my pocket? We're doing great on that. That's exactly the way I want it. Noah Craw, ice creamed, checked. Twitch is having server issues. Fucking A! It wasn't my fault, maybe. And that's all that I need to hear. It wasn't maybe my fault. And now, I will refuse to acknowledge if anyone, you know, if in future it turns out it was my fault. No, 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 no. Twitch was having server issues. Yeah. Alright. Alright. And isn't it lovely, when Twitch is having server issues, isn't it lovely that we have a system where you can still cheer and get my attention via the ice cream system? Isn't that nice? Wouldn't you, as a professional semi-professional, as a person who likes to live stream occasionally, wouldn't you like to have that feature yourself today? Well, let me tell you, friends, for the low cost of dollars per month, you too can have no bot watching your chat and all these systems that we have designed today that we're not even having troubles with every single live stream. You, for just a small donation, I just need $500 million in order to buy myself a private jet, and Jesus is gonna buy you a pickup truck with the sunroof that you want in it, with all of the things that you're gonna have all the options, a leather package, you can have that like rubberized truck line and shit, you can get the lifters, you get Jesus will take care of you if you take care of me. That is the prosperity gospel. I'm here to teach it to you today. Welcome to Wednesday, Zendnesday. We gonna get your life together, and it starts with you sending me $1,000 today. You send me $1,000 today, that is the seed that you're going to plant in the good Lord's bosom. You giving money to me is like you giving money to God. And God is going to look down and see your generosity and see your compassion and see your willingness to part with your money, just like Jesus taught in the, don't go looking it up, but Jesus used to teach this shit. Just like Jesus said, is that, do I have to go through, I think I got to go through the light. Just like Jesus told you, you plant that seed in my bosom, and my bosom is just going to flower for you. I will take this shirt off right now, just $1,000 today, and all your dreams are going to come through. Jesus Christ is basically a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow, everybody, and he's all about personal wealth. Oh my God, Jesus Christ, he loves personal wealth. He loves to see people made rich. He loves to see them turned into that camel that rarely passes through the eye of the needle. He loves it. That's what Jesus' teachings were all about. Have you not read the Gospels? Have you not read the Gospels? Good Lord. Ignorance. Ignorance amongst you. To not be aware of Jesus' teachings about how personal wealth is an ideal and that God will give you money because that's what's important in life. And that's why you need to send me, is it $500,000 or is it like 500? Is it $500 million? How much is it for a personal jet? I'm guessing $500,000, right? 500. That seems cheap, doesn't it? How much does it cost to get? Is it 50 million? What's a Cessna cost these days? With inflation, I mean. It's been a while since I looked it up. It's been a while since I bought my last one. Hello there, Pawn, you smexy cutie pie, says a loose lord. Hey, baby. How you doing? Jermacy and Ice Creams praise the Pawn. Pawn needs a $20 million. A $20 million. It will be used exclusively by the Church of Pawn. I'm not going to use this for private uses. This is going to be to spread the good Lord's news. The good Lord's news. The Zendnesday Wednesdays, I'm going to spread this message across the country, which is why Jesus is going to take care of you, buy you that pickup truck. I'm going to spread the good Lord's message that you are experiencing more than consciousness, which is what the Lord wants you to recognize today, according to the Ronin Pawn on a Zendnesday live stream, that you are experiencing more than mere consciousness, aren't you? Come on, slow it down now. Slow it down. See, the good Lord, he applied the brakes for me in a time of peril. And he will apply the brakes for you if you will just subscribe today. Donate now. Cheer even though the cheers don't come up. You get on that shit. Cessnas are really cheap planes, so around $300,000 bills, y'all, says Noah Carl. Really? Cessna's not a jet, is it? Is it a jet? Do you get something with a jet engine strapped to it? I don't know nothing about planes or whatnot. I just made my name and fortune. Look at all my fortune here on 6 Mile in Detroit. My name and fortune off of, Kerbal Space Program. So I don't know nothing about flight, planes, how those things work. I thought the ice creams were for getting Pawn's attention, lols, as a guy called by. No, it's for me to make money. It's another way for you to plant a good seed in the Lord's testicles, or whatever I was saying earlier. That's all. That's what that really is. Cessnas are 2-person prop planes, says Noah Craw. Well, I need a jet. I need a jet over here, like the other preachers. The other preachers in my, sewing circle. We get together, we all teach the prosperity gospel, and man, they're just lording it over my head. Oh, I just flew in. Why are my arms tired? And that kind of shit. And I'm going, you flew in? Oh, God. Don't you hate it with the first class, how they never have, like, the year of wine that you want? Because, I'm also a prosperity preacher, so I know, middle-class problems. And I start saying that, and they're like, first class? Are you kidding me? I got a Peloponnesian boy hired who serves me privately on my jet that I own. And so I need a jet, people. I need a jet just so that I don't feel picked on in the lunchroom amongst the other prosperity gospel bullshit fucking reverends who step to the pulpit and try and rob old ladies and honestly people who don't quite have, they need some help. They need people to look out for their interests, because they don't have the highest IQ. And Oos Lord Ice Creaming 8, here's some creamy ice for the Smexy Pawn. I will rub it all over my prosperity. Oh, Jesus, slow down, Pawn. Suddenly 55 here. There we go. There we go. Welcome to the city of... I don't know, we just passed the city limit, though. Okay, just shake it out. Shake it out. Everything's coming to a stop. Good way to stop if you need to in a hurry is just kind of scrub speed back and forth. Lean your wheels. Carson City we're coming into now. And Carson City is a city of angels. It's a city where they love to hear the good Lord's word. So I'm going to give you the good Lord's word. What I wanted to talk about here today, is Jesus. I wanted to talk about the fact that you are experiencing more than consciousness. That was my sort of starting point. Go! Move it! For a thought that I started to have the other night that actually seemed like we could have ourselves a Zendnesday for the first time in a while, built on the idea that you are experiencing more than consciousness. Because that is a factual truth that you don't even need science to tell you, because it's part of your experience, isn't it? You are experiencing more than consciousness. You're certainly experiencing more than sentience. And you know this just by being alive, just by being whatever it is we're going to call this being that you are. So if we're going to have this conversation, we kind of have to decide what the hell is consciousness. Because we're not talking about consciousness in the sense that you are awake and you are experiencing more than simply being awake. We're talking about consciousness on that level of humanity needs a word to describe humanity. And the reason why we need that word, and the reason we struggle to find that word, is that sentience doesn't quite wrap around it. Consciousness doesn't even quite wrap around it, does it? There's things that slip through that definition. There are harsh angles and elbows that pop through the little bubble in the little box you're trying to put what it is to be a human being on Earth in the year of our Lord 2018, that don't quite fit into sentience and consciousness. A jet would be the last thing on my wish list, says Noah Craw. You could sell a jet for a lot of money, Noah. I'm just saying. New socks would be nice, says a guy called Jim. Jim, if you give me $1,000 right now, Jesus is going to make those new socks happen for you. You help me buy my jet, Jesus is going to help you buy your socks. I'd love to own a plane. I'd also love to pay off my student debt too, though, says Crepe Jedi. Well, if somebody will buy you a jet, you can sell the jet, buy yourself a Cessna, and then use the rest of the money to pay off your financial debt and just the debt of, like, the next 1,000 people who you meet in a room. But, which would be like a major, that would be kind of a Jesus thing to do. Now, if you're a preacher of the prosperity gospel, you're not going to do that. You're not going to spread the wealth the way that Jesus Christ himself did. No. Keep it for yourself, and look at it as though the ability for you to travel to places and speak in different locations is more of God's work being done than if you actually just, fed people, clothed them, gave them warmth, helped people who couldn't help themselves. No. Your talking is what's important here, Reverend. Your talking that is constantly full of you begging for money. Yeah. That's what you gotta do. That's the prosperity gospel. You could sell it to a prosperity gospel preacher for a lot of money, says Major Lord. That's right. That's right. They'll take it up. They're trying to keep up with the Joneses, you know. I don't know any of the names of the prosperity gospel preachers, but I know of at least 4 different prosperity gospel preachers, all of which have those jets. And then you guys, the reason I brought it up today is because somebody here brought it up the other day, saying, can you believe that there's some preacher out there who's asking for his congregation to buy his church a jet? To which I responded, yes, I can, because I know 3 or 4 others who have already done that long since. Long since. It's what they do. It's amazing. There's 2 classes of people who are allowed to step up to the pulpit in a church of God. Those who are men of God, who have spent their lives studying the teachings and trying to be good and be right and do right, and trying to help people, you know, who are honest to God, like learned preachers who know the text, know the scriptures, and who have spent their lives trying to understand better the nature of God. Those people are allowed to stand up to the pulpit, and Satan's minions. Those are the only 2, though. If you're between those 2, it's man of God or man of Satan are allowed to go up to the pulpit, especially when you see the megachurches inviting politicians in America. Politicians get to come up to the pulpit in the megachurches during an election cycle and try and, you know, squeeze votes off of the top by appearing in church. Oh, he's such a good God-fearing man, I'm gonna vote for him. Like, wow, yeah. What is that person again? Well, they're a politician, so we know they're evil, but before they're a politician, usually they're a lawyer. And you know, those people are just so moral. Who did a thing? Dramatian ice cream. That was me! Okay, thank you, What was you? That's funny as hell. That you like ice cream, that was me, and then I'm like, who did that? And then it says that was me. Was that intentionally meta? Or was that you saying something else? Oh, you were saying Dramatian, you were saying it was me who brought up the preacher. Okay. I like it better when it was just meta. You were screwing with me. I know that he's probably gonna say, who cheered? Who ice cream? I think that guy was mentioned already. Has a few jets too, says Major. Oh, he just needs another one for his fleet. Hello, the cheers are coming in. Cheer 10, beginning of stream, cheer late, says Zerglop. Holy poop, the cheers are coming in. I want to test my new thing. Now that cheers are actually confirmed coming in, I want to test the other things. So just hang on. Hold with me, people. We're going to switch the overlays up to my new updated version and see if we can get cheers come, because that's the first cheer we've seen come in on live stream. Maybe it was a Twitch problem. Okay, we're back connected. The overlay is working. I can switch back in a heartbeat. But if somebody's got a cheer, try sending it across and we'll see if my system picks it up. Yeah. Alright, keep driving, buddy. Keep driving. Ice cream pawn, I sent a few cheers you didn't read. What should I do, says a guy called Jim. You don't even worry about it, alright? Because the Lord heard those cheers, and he's going to give you full credit for those cheers. He's going to give you partial credit, actually. He's going to give you halves. That's how it works. The Lord goes halfsies on that situation, so you're going to have to, if you want it to all come through, you're going to have to start cheering it again. Cheering it again! Party 10, it's a party. Cheer 5, hello there, says Zorglob. And those don't come through. Ronan Pawn, that was 100% the wrong animation, and the cheer and name didn't show, so no problem. Right, that was the one that was working from last time, that functions without pulling down the user state, that I tried to fix with the latest version, and it's working so well right now. Right now, actually, that should be listening to both the bot and Twitch. So those events, honestly, should be coming in twice. So maybe some of my code is actually breaking the JavaScript when a cheer comes in and it's stopping it. Let's have another pullover here. We'll pull over again. We'll put the other thing back in. At least we can have the cheers coming through. It's so impossible for me to test cheer and subscription events when we're not online. You know, what's a boy to do? What's a boy to do? We'll go back to the one that doesn't get the user state information incorrectly, that I thought was just a matter of I accidentally wrapped it in a couple extra brackets. I was trying to reverse engineer what I saw coming through from Noah's code that was already did the testing. That's the best I can do for you. What? Resume delivery? Abandon delivery? No. Okay, that one should at least be You know, it won't show your name, it won't play the right animation, it won't show the bits, but Cheer 5, waka waka, it gets my attention. I can look over and see that Dramacian was the man who sent... Okay, could you guys get the F out of my way? Thanks, before I have to hit that hill. Alright, we're back on the road again, just like we did last summer. Just like we did, well, I was asking for it, Jeff. Somebody resubscribed for 6 months in a row! Thank you, someone! The message didn't come through and the person didn't come through either. Those user states, man. Those user states. Who did it? Who did it? Who was the resub? Thank you for your 6 month, half a year you've been resubscribing to the Road and Pawn. Today's a good day. You get to be part of the It Didn't Work subscription tier. At least it came through, but I can't see who did it because I don't have Twitch chat. I got Restream chat. Run Pawn, if you need any help, you can always ask me. Was Mosaic Task Force, by the way. Thank you, Mosaic Task Force, for your subscription. And yes, no, I would love your help. I sent you a copy of the 16th version of the build. I don't know. I don't know. I thought everything should work the way it was. I'll send you. I might have updated build to 17 since then, because I'm always putting little tinkers on and stuff like that. I'll send you whatever I've got is the most recent one, and I think what needs to be looked at is the user states, which was the only thing that was preventing this build 14 from working. This is build 14 that's working, and it's just the user states aren't coming through properly. And that's also in our chat log if you want to pull that one down for comparison. In 16, I consolidated some code and stuff, and I tested everything that I could test working. It's just when the cheers and the bits and the subs are actually supposed to come through, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do except wait for a live stream, throw it in there, and then find out whether it works or not? The Lord will reward you, my boy. I have a look-see, says Noah Craw. Thank you. So I wanted to talk about consciousness and about the fact that you are experiencing more than consciousness, and you confirm this for yourself every single day, and that was going to be the topic or the jumping off point of our Zendnesday, and see where it takes us. What do we define? How do we define consciousness? We're going right past the idea, well, it's being awake. No, we're trying to find something to encapsulate the experience of being a human being and being more than just, I don't know, more than just a computer, more than just a thinking machine. You can think, sure. You are aware, sure. But it's more than that, isn't it? It's more than just sentience. How are we doing on gas? We're fine. It's more than just sentience. It's more than being aware of yourself as an individual in a larger world, as separating the world as an objective space, wherein you are a subject, and recognizing that there is a two-way perception going on there. That's a very complicated and convoluted description of sentience. But sentience, the idea is that you're not just, you know, an animal that has awareness. You have awareness of yourself in the larger world. Self-awareness, that I am different. I am a subject, and the world is an object, which, by the way, is a bullshit lie, but that is an experience that we're having of sentience. It's not a lie, it's the experience we're having. It's just an incomplete expression of reality. But what we are experiencing is more than sentience, isn't it? It's more than sentience, it's more than consciousness, it's more than awareness. It's not just that we know what's going on outside of us. It's not just that we recognize ourselves as an individual, as a subjective entity within an objective world. It's more than that, right? I mean, I don't think we can have any disagreement on this point because you're experiencing life. And as a human being, life is not cold and calculating and rational. Your experience as a human being is not cold and calculating and rational. It's not based on just what's going on outside of you. It's not based on just what's going on inside of you. It's not based on just thought and reason. There's emotion in there, but more than emotion, emotion helps in this process, but the chemistry of your brain, you could say, okay, that is an assumption though. And I don't want to work in assumptions today, but let's just say that the experience is that there is something real that is going on, right? You're perceiving something real, and then you're coloring it, right? Every single person in this chat room has experienced the difference between a moment where you feel happy and a moment where you feel angry or sad, or feel different in any way. It could be any emotion, or you feel bored, or anything like that. It changes the tone of reality. But the truth is, reality is still just reality, right? Outside of your experience that you're having as a human being, reality remains reality. It's not... Just because your experience is colored doesn't mean that the universe has been colored. Other people who aren't sharing your experience right now have a different experience. We may believe we are in a larger world, yet still being a simulation or a test by gods, but it is more fun for me playing along, assuming that you are real. Cheers, Mosaic Task Force. I read that really weirdly, or you wrote that really weird. Something was really weird about that. Believe in a larger world. Still believe I'm in a simulation or a test by gods, but it's more fun for me to play along, assuming that you were real. I get generally what you're saying. Then Noah cries, screams, do you mean the word sunder? It's the profound feeling of realizing that everyone, including strangers passed in the street, has a life as complex as one's own, which they are constantly living despite one's personal lack of awareness of it, says Noah Craw. That's not what I'm talking about, Noah. But that's interesting. That's a good point. That's definitely relevant to the conversation we're having, yeah. Or that I want to have. And then Cavoodle cheers 50. And God spoke, give thine bits to thy dearest streamer, this is Cavoodle, so he can buy a private jet, or thou shalt totally burn in hell. Indeed. Exodus 32:50. Sonder is a new word from 2004, as I recall. The awareness that everyone around you, that the people you pass, the people you know, have a life as rich and complex and deep as yours. Very hard for sociopaths to experience that, but it is okay. I like that we've got a word for that. That is a very specific experience. Generally, I'm just talking about the fact that what we experience as human beings is far, far more than what is. Simple, expressible, definable, relatable, that can be put in a box, and that can be categorized, and that can be said, this is happening, and agreed that this is happening. And a very convenient association is to say, well, you've got two halves of yourself. You've got the rational, logical brain side, and you've got the emotional, kind of animal side. And that's very convenient and also completely unscientific. Because there's not really proof to support that. That's just, it's a convenient conclusion that seems to make a fair bit of sense. No, not the wipers. But it's not supported by anything. Which isn't to say that I'm proposing that it's anything else. I just don't want to deal in, you know, assumptions. At least when I don't want to deal in assumptions. For the purpose of this talk, anyway. Because, you know, science so often takes the perspective of being, you know, I just see science and particularly, you know, science-y atheists, people who define themselves as atheists tend to just kind of look down at everyone down their nose, kind of tend to look down at life down their noses, is how it tends to be, and that's a broad generalization. You may define yourself as an atheist and not think that you fit into that category. I'm just saying my experience has been there's a down-the-nosedness involved in saying I'm an atheist, because atheism, for what it is meant to be, which is I don't believe in a god, has turned more into I hate religion. Atheism has become like an anti-religion. And you get a lot of, you know, science isn't being well represented by the anti-religion of atheism, is how I see it. Just like Christianity isn't being represented by Christians very well. A lot of people out there saying, I am a representative of Christianity, and I'm going to tell you how Christ works, and I need $500,000 or more to buy myself a personal jet so I can spread the good word. A lot of that shit going on out there, and I'm just saying the same is going on kind of with the anti-religion of atheism for science. It's not well represented of what science really is, and what science should have to say, and what science shouldn't have to say. Science is the act of observation, you know? You're just looking at what is and trying to figure out why look at what you are, what is apparent to you, and then ask a question why, and then try to answer it. And, my understanding of the process, the scientific process, if you want to make it, because it seems rather dumb to me, which is to say that it's rather simple. It's a dumb process. You don't need to be smart to engage in science. What you need to do is have a question, which is almost always a why question. Why is something the way it is? Observe that something is the way it is, ask why, then come up with a hypothesis as to why, and then disprove your own hypothesis. Don't try and prove it. No. You're just going to be proving what you want to be the conclusion there. No, science is the process of having a question, then guessing at the answer, and then spending your time trying to prove that you're wrong. It's a very dumb kind of a process, and it's important that it's a dumb kind of a process because you don't have to be a genius to engage in it. Disprove yourself. Keep trying to disprove yourself, and on the day you can't figure out a way to disprove yourself, well, now it's time to share your research with somebody and say, I tried to prove that this wasn't the way. I thought the entire point of atheism is to be against religion versus not really minding it, says Noah Craw. Atheism. Theism being... Pretty sure it's like the difference between asocial and antisocial, says Pondophile. That is the expression of the problem right there, Noah Craw, is the idea that the point of atheism is to be against religion. It's religion, fuck religion, religion is wrong and religion doesn't have anything to offer the world. And it's just a misrepresentation of, atheism can be whatever it wants, but when it ties itself along with science, it's a misrepresentation of science. Religion is the earliest science. It was the earliest, most popularly practiced version of science because people were looking out at a world that they didn't understand and asking themselves why, how, from where, and having the technology that they had at the time, the answers that they came up with were what we've got in our ancient tomes and in our religious texts and things like that. You can't look down your nose and piss all over religion for not having capacitors and diodes 6,000 years ago. Be a dick, They were trying to explain the world, and through their observations came a lot of real truths about the world. Through religion's observations, through people watching the stars because they thought the stars were like gods or representations, notes from the gods, or looking up at the stars. Through that study, we got crop cycles. The reason that the world can eat today. The reason that humanity didn't die out and starve to death as it tried to build into communities and people come together in order to survive together. The reason that there was food for everyone is because of Zoroastrianism and shit like that. Because people looked up at the stars and said, surely these are the gods. And they studied them because they wanted to understand the gods, and then they found the movements of the stars and understood the movements of the planet and the movements of the seasons, and these are the methods that science took in order to get here. Religion is science. It's just the earlier model. And religion still has a lot of truths and a lot of important things that, I guess the reason why I wanted to talk about you are experiencing more than consciousness is that if you want to live a life of pure reason and pure rationalism and that sort of thing, you are going to have a lot of troubles in this life. And you're probably not going to have that much fun in this life either. Because your life is not one of pure reason and pure rationalism. You are not a computer. You are not an artificial intelligence. You are a human being. And what religion has that atheists and anti-religion people are throwing out and discarding left and right, baby with the bathwater, is a lot of things that are there that make life better. A lot of things that have observed the way that we are, that human beings are, what we need in order to feel stable and steady, in order to feel fulfilled, in a world where fulfillment is not always ready and at hand, in a world where bad things happen sometimes more often than good things happen, in a world where you can't really rely on anything. Religion has what do you call them? CFS and short-term memory loss, and also trying to find the word is all part of it. Religion has things that you do. You come in, and you bow your head, and you know, in Buddhism, we come into the temple, we walk through the door, we bow to the temple, we bow to the altar, we shut the door behind us, we turn, we like get on a mat, and we do prostrations. We kneel down, we touch our head to the floor, we turn our hands up, we take our hand back up, we do that 3 times. It's just little ceremonies. And you say those ceremonies are worshiping gods and shit like that. You know what? Zen is not a religion that is not a religion. It's a practice. Buddhism is a religion, but Zen is a practice. And the way that I was introduced to Zen through my teacher, Hwalsan Sunim, which translates directly to the living Zen monk, the living Zen monk from Korean. Hwalsan Sunim, what he taught me, had nothing to do with gods, had nothing to do with religions. He taught me these practices, and through these practices, through chanting mantras, through singing songs, and doing prostrations, and kneeling, and hitting the drums, and having these patterns in your life that you can always come back to, that you know exactly how they're supposed to be done, and you've learned them, and they're there, and then you do them every single day. These are the kind of things that help people, that help you as a human being. Rationally, logically, it's no purpose to that. That's a waste of time. I should be using my resources somewhere else. Religion has what science, what atheism in particular, doesn't have, and what science probably will never really come around and sit on in the way that religion has, which is acknowledging that we are experiencing more than consciousness. We are experiencing more than objective reality. This is not... Our lives are not cold and calculated. Our experiences of this life is not cold and calculated. And what some people call mysticism, other people, I, could call just being real with your experience. Honoring the fact that something works for you, that it makes you feel happier, you know? What's the rationalism to when you're feeling down, you know, hum yourself a song, whistle a little tune? Where's the rationalism to that? But it works. It works. You turn your attention, your mind, and your experience that's been colored by a certain event that's feeling dirty and nasty and bad. You're angry, or you're sad, or you're depressed, and you just start acting like you're not. You just start doing something that is opposed to the activity of being miserable. You put a smile on, even though you want to cry. And you start humming, you start whistling, you start singing yourself a tune. And very shortly, if you just keep doing it, you may just find that you forgot the experience that you were having before. That wasn't real. It was entirely subjective. It was in your head, but it was very real to you, wasn't it? It's absolutely real. Soul-crushingly real. I'm not going to leave the house real. I'm not going to do anything today real. I hate the world real. It is real. And it is exactly those experiences, by the way, that send our children into schools and start shooting at each other. That have people climbing, you know, towers. I think I'm going to grab some gasoline. Have people, you know, climbing water towers and opening fire on one another. Those aren't logical, rational events, and yet those are the events that we're dealing with more and more day by day in this world. And where do they come from? Well, they come from the experience of being human beings. I've never tried to back this, you know, in, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try at a gas station. This should go really well. This should go really, really well. I don't see any problem here. I'm such a good driver with these things, you know? Why would I have any difficulties? Okay, nope, swing a little bit wide there. There you go, get it nice and flat, and just take her back. Wait until, don't worry about it, it's just a hump in the road or something, right? So there you go, now bank her in. Bank her in. Run-up on school shooters are America only, though. I don't think you can blame this on human beings, says Noah Craw. Oh, I seem to recall in Britain some folks getting into a van. I know that's not your country, but in some people getting into a van and running human beings down in the street because of reasons. I mean, you can join the NRA and say, you know, that's just mentally insane people, you know? That's all that is that's going on. Like, the events that we have in our world that are horrible, people just, as small as people just fighting in the streets. What are you fighting in the street for? Why are you fighting another human being? What's that about? There's a time and a place to fight. I'm not going to say never. I'm just saying our experiences as human beings are built on our emotions. And how do you get to the point where, you know, you start shooting, you start stabbing, you start fighting in the street? It's not rational, it's not logical. Your experience as a human being is way more than that. You are not just experiencing consciousness. You are not just experiencing sentience. You are experiencing far, far more. And my thing is to say that it is no good thing and no benefit for you to get rid of all of that experience. For you to get yourself down to being an artificial intelligence, you know? To try and throw away your other experience, this other experience that you're having. That is an emotional experience, but is also more than an emotional experience. Because they are crazy in their heads, says Noah Crow. You're joining the NRA, buddy. The fact that this happens a lot more in some places, cough, America, than others. Last school shooting we had in the Netherlands was in 1999, but you have them. What are you trying to deny here, Noah Crow? That human beings on your side of the planet are not... They're experiencing a reality, while other human beings who live... Jesus, are you going like full-on racist here? Other human beings experience the world insanely. But no, the people who live where I do, they experience a purely objective world. Really? Like, what is your government in your local area doing right now? And do you think that it's logical and based on objective reality? The way that we get to the world as it exists right now, including the wars and the people literally starving to death in this world, while we have like 3-4 times the amount of food that it would take to feed every single person on the face of the earth, no problem, still people starving in the streets, has nothing to do with logical, objective realism. It has to do, it has come about because our experience is more than consciousness, it's more than sentience, it's more than logic. And you know what? It's not a bad thing. You turn off and become this cold and calculating and objective realist, that sort of thing. There's a lot of benefits. I'm sure you can argue the benefits. I'm saying you are changing your experience as an entity in the universe. Like, you might as well just have been born a computer chip at that point. You know? I consider part of the benefit of being alive, being alive. Like, I think the reason that I'm a human being and not a rock and not a piece of silicon is because I wanted to experience being a human being. And being a human being is more than coldly, analytically, dryly looking out at the world. Coldly, analytically, dryly looking out at the world is exactly how we have this vicious sense of capitalism. Corporations are coldly, dryly, analytically looking at, our goal is to make as much money as possible. How do we make as much money as possible? And then when the answer comes up, slavery. When the answer comes up, slamming into another car full speed head first. When the answer comes up, you know, no safety equipment for our workers. When the answer comes up, literally hanging suicide nets in our 3-story buildings so that when our employees try to kill themselves, they won't be able to do it on our property, and not addressing the fact that, gee, our employees are fucking miserable. What? Is there something wrong with that, maybe? That is coldly calculating objective rationalism right there. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Our goal is to make as much money as possible. The best way to make money is through these means, so we do it. And that's the world that we've gotten. Yay. From cold calculating rationalism. I'm saying that what we are as human beings is more than that, and it's important that we're more than that, and it's a good thing that we're more than that, and it's an enjoyable thing that we're more than that. I don't know that there would be such a word as fun if we didn't have this experience that goes beyond the mind. That goes beyond what we can see and hear and smell and taste and touch. Paul, you were created the moment your brain turned on, says Noah Crow. When did that happen? When was the brain? When was the brain? At what point was it a brain instead of a little globule of connected cells? And when you say the brain turned on, are you kidding me? It's an organic, like, generation of things. This brain is... See, this is Noah is an NRA atheist, isn't he? This is the kind of thing, you want to believe that you're a coldly calculating thing, but here's the thing, I'm sitting here, you want to be an AI. You want to be coldly calculating and rational, but I'm sitting here, like, saying things that you don't like the sound of. And it may not be you, Noah. I'm just talking, I know that there are people in chat who are going to be hearing this and saying, I don't agree with that. Right, so you don't agree with that. And yet, there is more of an experiencing being had to people. When you don't agree with someone, somebody's saying something, you don't agree with it, you hate it. Where'd the experience of hate come from? You know, how did you get to I hate that? From I don't agree with that. You know, when you sit and try and listen to someone saying something that you would spend your entire life shouting against, it's like fucking, it's that, isn't it? It's that. That is more than being conscious. Conscience. That is more than consciousness. That is more than sentience. There's something extra there. I need to pull off, we need to have a live stream break. You are experiencing more than consciousness. If you were simply experiencing consciousness, one, your life would be completely different, and two, I don't know if we would have survived. I don't know if humanity would still be a thing that's around if we were just experiencing consciousness, if we were just experiencing sentience. It is fair to say that people behind those corporations lack a few components of what makes a complete human being, primarily empathy, or that other word that was mentioned earlier. Penis? Penis? They lack penises? They absolutely lack penises. These people don't have penises. You know, that much is obvious. Who cheered? Who cheered? It's Mosaic Task Force. Counting atoms, we are a few buckets of water, lumps of coal, and trace elements. Cheer 5. Yes, and how is it that we have such vast interior, internal experiences that don't exist, but we have them? You know, you can't deny that your experience isn't make-believe. I'm just gonna run that over. Fuck it. It'd be funny if the next sound you hear is tss, tss, just a tire going flat. You can't deny that your experience is, you know, objective, that it's real. I mean, you can, but you sound like an idiot. Do you not dream? Have you never had a dream? Was that real? Was that real? Everything you saw, you smelt, you heard, you touched, you tasted in that dream, everyone you interacted with, they were real, and that was real. It was a dream that you had, but what were you? You were quantum projecting to a third reality, another universe kind of thing? It was objective and it was real? How do I get the friggin' music to turn off? Used to be you just click outside of, oh, that's right. That's right, the way this works now is even better, except for now it's less convenient for me. Master volume down. We're gonna have ourselves a live stream break. When we come back, I will launch into more specifically what I want to talk about, because all I've been doing is trying to lay the groundwork for a conversation that we can have, but I'm surprised to see so much resistance to the idea that you are experiencing more than what your senses provide, more than the information your senses provide. I mean, anyone who has spent a night crying because someone is dead will know the difference. Boy, that's pretty hard, isn't it? That's pretty hardcore. But you can't deny it now, can you? There's no reason to shed tears for someone who's gone, is there? There's no rationalism to it. There's no reason. That isn't built on sensory data. That's built on something that's missing, that was there, that you miss. What's that about? Is that consciousness? Is that just sentience? How do you wrap that in just We'll be back in 7 minutes. I am the Ronan Bond. Listen to some music while I'm gone.
The streets of Salem were a terrifying sight. The witches dancing with the demons in the night. Their evil minions watch the town while it's in bed. Wish 'em dead, wish 'em dead, wish 'em dead. Old Reverend Paris knew that something was amiss. He felt the evil from a spiritual abyss. He knew the time had come to purify the town. Hunt 'em down, hunt 'em down, hunt 'em down. No time was wasted in assembling a squad. This pitchfork army on a mission sent from God. No witch was safe from Reverend Paris's brigade. Their crusade, their crusade, their crusade. Call the magistrate and don't you wait another minute, 'cause this town is going to hell if we don't put away the sinning. And we got no time to let a jury have their turn. Let 'em burn, let 'em burn, let 'em burn. The damned were crammed into a carriage on the square. Their faces battered and their bodies all were bare. The Reverend led them to an isolated hill. Time to kill, time to kill, time to kill. One by one their necks were snapped beneath the cedar tree. The spirits vanished and the demons all were free. They dug a hole to hold the devilish remains. They were slain, they were slain, they were slain. The town was safe from all those wicked dissidents. They could continue with their life of innocence, dispensing justice from a higher power. They built a church atop the spirits and the bones. Their moans were heard as they were laying down the stones. But the witches got revenge beneath that steeple bell. They cast a spell, sent the Reverend to hell.
Hello, I am the Ronin Pawn, and welcome to a twitch.tv/Ronin Pawn here on the bow of the Caledon. I think that's what's playing now. Or was playing a moment ago. Welcome back to American Truck Simulator on a Wednesday, Zendnesday, where we're talking about your experience as a human being, and I am being thrown for a loop. Cheers 20, I got lots of bits this time, says Mage Lord Exelberth. Thank you for the bits. And yes, our overlay is my overlay is a bit broken right now. We're working on it. We're working on it. I am being thrown for a loop by the fact that we can't agree, at least Noah, when I look over, we can't seem to agree to, like, basic reality here. which is that the human experience is more than input, you know? And I think we would agree to it. I think it's just, it's part of the argument. That's what's so amazing to me about this scenario, that we're arguing over basic reality, and that's even in the argument is the expression of that this is not an experience we're having based purely on input. Come on, baby. Come on. Will you go? Why won't you? Oh, I'm not in the window or something? What? Where's my mouse? Ah! There it is. Okay, found it. There we go. Cheer 5. I think some stuff was lost in communication. Exactly. Exactly. You know how things are lost in communication? Because someone says something, and the meaning contained within those words does not transmit the way that it was intended. And that can happen for a number of reasons, one of which, you can't just take your weird religious interpretations about life and impose them upon everyone as if they were fact. I'm not talking about weird religious interpretations of reality. I haven't said anything about spirits or souls or gods. Christ talked about Zen and said it's not a religion. It's not, you know, it's not about gods or about, it's... What I've been talking about, what I've been trying to talk about, is just the experience of being a human being and trying to get us to agree on that. And in the form of communication, where we're breaking down, we have communication breakdowns. What are the reasons for that? Sometimes the words are not said appropriately. Sometimes the words don't have the same meaning on the other end of the channel. When you speak words to someone, you package your words up into a little packet of data, and you ship them across the air, literally the vibrations, and they're in someone else's eardrum, and then they turn into thoughts and ideas. And if that person doesn't have the same set of references and same set of definitions for the words that you're using, then it doesn't matter. Two people speaking two different languages don't understand each other. But two people who do understand the same language, if someone has a certain experience associated with a certain set of words, or has already drawn conclusions around a certain set of words, trying to have a conversation can turn into a great big fucking mess, can't it? That's one of a myriad of ways that communication breaks down, and it has everything to do with the fact that this experience is more, human experience is more than just perception. It's more than just consciousness. It's more than just being awake and being aware and having your eyes and your ears open, because everything that comes in through your eyes and your ears is colored by something, by you. You change it, you tilt it, you shift it to be either what you expect or what you think someone's trying to say. And the thing is, like, it's no one's fault in the, you know, there's not like, it's not a, oh, you fucked up and that's why the conversation isn't working. It's just the fact that you've got, that's the experience of being human. Two different humans trying to communicate two different things that seem absolutely normal to each of them. And they talk to one another, but they each have a different set of experiences. I've sat on a fucking Zen meditation mat for 3 years, so when I start talking, maybe I'm taking things for granted and assumptions, conclusions that other people would be on board with that aren't. And the same happens on the other side, and it gets real fucking dirty real quick. Who cheered? Who cheered? Mosaic Task Force. In English, 9 in English sounds as no in German, says Mosaic Task Force. Yeah, two completely different definitions packed in, and then within languages, you've got multiple definitions per word. Are you familiar with the term, with the sentence, buffalo, 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 buffalo? Buffalo? There's like 8 buffaloes in there. That is a valid sentence because of the multiple definitions for the word buffalo. And what did I just say? I said that there are animals from the New York region that confuse and bewilder other animals from the New York region, who also, in turn, confuse and bewilder other animals from the Buffalo, New York region. That's what I just said. It's a completely valid sentence. It's the word buffalo 8 times. So, communication breaks down very easily, and it has everything to do with the fact that every single individual's perspective on life is different. Your experiences are different. If you have never had someone break into your home and threaten your life with your own property while trying to defend a woman who'd been beaten by that guy because the cops won't call, won't come in Detroit, won't do their fucking jobs, you have a completely different perspective and view on justice, on police, on reality, than the person who has had those experiences. You know, there's a phrase that says every liberal is just a conservative who's never been mugged. And I don't, you know, I'm a liberal, and I've been more than mugged, thank you very much. I'm not saying that there's truth in that statement, but there is a truth in that statement. That your perspective and your experiences color your reality. And everything that comes in, and all that information that comes in via consciousness and sentience, then becomes something else. It becomes a surreality. There is something real that's going on here. Then there's you. There's a portion of you that changes it. Ice cream pawn, says Jim. When are you going to get out of Detroit? Well, I have a neighbor who might be interested in buying my home. As of today, my father met a woman who's renting next door to us, who said that she's trying to buy that house, and the renter doesn't want to sell it. The landlord doesn't want to sell it. And he said, well, we're fixing this one up to sell, so maybe you'd be interested in that. I also have recently had the realization, incredibly obvious realization, that if life was just consciousness and sentience and wasn't colored by, you know, wasn't sort of focused upon, you focus on the things that you think are important and you interpret them the way that you think they need to be interpreted. If my consciousness were just completely wide, I would have seen a long time ago that the only thing standing between me and not living here anymore is if I contact a realtor. That's all that has to happen. I call a realtor, say I want to sell my house, come out and have a look at it, we'll talk about the valuation, and it'll start and it'll happen, and it'll probably be done in 2-3 months. And I'll be out of here, and I'll have, you know, whatever amount of money the house can get in value. So if I want to get out in a hurry, it can happen. Quarter of a year, I'd be gone. But that is something that did not occur to me because of the way that I was looking at reality, the way that I was looking at, well, the house still needs all these projects done, we're still working on this, that, and the other thing, I want to get that done. It's always part of the plan at the beginning to do this before, and I don't have to do any of that. I can just call a realtor and be gone. But that didn't occur to me. Why? Because life is not just information. Misan Ice Cream. Wanna see Ronan Pawn playing RimWorld 1.0? Release is soonish. Oh, release is finally coming out on RimWorld. It's been a minute, hasn't it? Feels like I played that back in 2015. And I would be very interested to see where they went with it, because it felt back then like a full game. I mean, it needed some polish, but I just didn't think that there was enough polish and touch-up that it would take this long to come to a 1.0. Early access games are just staying there so long these days. Jermasian Ice Creaming. Ronan Pawn House Flipper. Yeah. Yeah! It's all that I have to do is decide to actually flip it, you know? To actually sell it. It wasn't my plan when I first moved in here. I loved Detroit. I loved Detroit. Because I'd seen it from one perspective, from one experience. I was living in Hamtramck and visiting Detroit by going out of the boundaries of Hamtramck. And when you don't live there, it can be a lovely place to visit. Now I live here, I see it differently. I have a new perspective based on experience that's changed the color of reality for me. But that is just a coloration of reality. My perception of the danger that exists on my front porch is different from day to day for me. And I am the source of it. Because it's not all real. It's not all real. There's a lot here. In fact, for most of us, for most living human beings, this is where I'm trying to get to. You know, at least the starting point that I was trying to get to. For most human beings, our lives and our experience are less real than real. We take in a lot of data, a lot of information. Our lower brains are processing so much that our upper brains are just not familiar with and not tapped into. But when we actually do things and interact with all that data and that information, it tends to be based on a surreality, based on a fiction, based on something that we've created. There is more dream in our heads than there is reality. For every single one of us, I don't care who you are or how rational and scientific you think you are. Your reality is based on your conclusions that are based on your experience, and your experience is 1/1000th of what is real. Parallel Cheering 25. If life were just inputs, then lights would only act as a wave or a particle. Go all quantum on me now here, Parallel. I'm deep enough in the shit. I need to find a place to sleep. There's a place to sleep right here. I'm gonna block you. I'm gonna block you, and I'm gonna make an illegal turn across the median. Yep. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you go, alright? I'm gonna let you talk. The experience of being a white man in this country in particular, entirely different from being a black man in this country in particular. You don't know that experience unless you're a black man living in America. But you have defined, is this the place where I can park? Or it looks like I could just park up here. Based on, no, that ain't it. That ain't, how the hell do I get to that sleepy place? Well, I think you gotta turn around again. Thank God these roads are just, you know, suggestions. Just suggestions. It's nothing's necessary here. It's all just implicit. It's all a surreality that I've created out of my mind. Every single one of us is more false than real. Because our conclusions are based on our tiny, infinitesimally small perspective on reality, which is... Oh, it's right there. The hotel's right there. Light is an object, actually, says Leonidas. It can push things. It's a source of energy, and then we could have a whole nother Zen conversation on, you know, how do you define, like, what's the difference between a source of energy and an object, you know? Again, what's real? What's not? How do we define, how do we say, oh, well, that's a submolecular particle, and this is a molecular particle, and this is an object that... it's all a bunch of perspective-based nonsense, is what it is. Because of our size, our scale, the way that we interact with the world, we view the world in a certain way. And science shows us another way to view the world, but that view is based on a science that has been made by people who view the universe in a certain way, which is why it's never quite right. And it never will be quite right, and we'll never be done with it, because there's no bottom to understanding this experience and understanding this universe. I am not arguing against science, I am arguing against your experience of reality. And I don't think that I should have to be arguing against it. I think it should be entirely obvious to you that your experience is mostly illusion. Okay? If there are real things going on outside, don't you even try it. If there are real sources of external input, by the time that input hits what you call consciousness or sentience, it is entirely different than what it was when it got started. That's all I'm trying to get to. And it should be obvious for a number of reasons, including the fact that most of us go to sleep at night, and even if we don't dream regularly, and even if we only had a rare few scant of dreams in our lives, we've experienced a fictional world that while we were in that world, while we were asleep and in that dream, Pie's out of snacks, Jim is out of snacks, while we were in that fiction, usually, for most of us, Rex doesn't have this experience exactly, but for most of us, we were completely convinced that that bullshit brain activity, whatever you want to call that dream, in the middle of the night, that was real. That was really real. And we were one person existing in that dream. Experiencing, not that dream, it wasn't a dream, it was real. Experiencing reality from one perspective. When the natural truth, the natural, like, hypothesis towards the truth, I mean, it's just, let's just say that it's real. The natural conclusion to draw, there you go, Pawn. The natural conclusion to draw is that when you wake up from that dream, oh, I wasn't in a real world, it was a fiction that I created, my mind created, while I was asleep, and I imagined myself as an individual within that fiction. But the truth is, since it was created from my mind, if we presume that the dream is created from your mind, that you knew everything in that world. You were everything in that world. The sky above, the ground underfoot, any person you interacted with, any object, any stimuli coming in over any of the many senses, more than 5, that you experienced during that dream was you. Right? It wasn't outside of you, unless you had the TV on, and then maybe you were hearing the TV and then pretending your mind was turning it into... I've had that before. It's making, you know, somebody in front of you is talking and they're telling you the great features of, you know, this brand new Ginsu knife that you can purchase. And you go, why is that in my dream? And you wake up, hi, I'm Tony What's-His-Face for Ginsu Knives Unlimited. It's the sharpest knife in the world. Watch it slice through a tomato. Oh, that's why that was in my dream. But what I'm getting at here is that while you're in the dream, you tend to be, most of us tend to be convinced the dream is real. Then we wake up and realize that every part of the dream was us. And if there was something in that dream that scared you, if there was a mystery going on in that dream, if there were things that you didn't know were going to happen around the corner, you were lying to yourself in order to create a moment of entertainment. Right? You were creating a fiction that you knew the answer to. You knew what was coming around the corner because what was coming around the corner was you. You were inventing the world as it went on. You knew everything, but you decided to perceive yourself as an individual from within the dream, looking out at the dream as though it was real, as though it was objectively real, separate from you. But it turns out when you wake up, no, the dream was more me. There was no objectivity. I created the dream and then imagined myself within it. Ice Cream Pong, you should become a Zen gospel preacher and make a shit ton of money. Also, I need a jet. So, more cheers. More big dollar cheers. It's just, I go to hang out with my prosperity gospel friends and they just don't fucking, you know, they don't respect me anything. You know, if you don't have a jet, then you can't wear the VIP club jacket, and I'm just feeling really, I'm an outsider. Contradiction. If your mind was creating the world as it went on, then your mind didn't know ahead of time what was going to be around that corner would scare you, says Major Lord Exilworth. Okay, fair enough, but at some point your mind creates it in the moment, and then you decided to imagine yourself as one individual within your mind, experiencing it in a certain way in order to scare yourself. But you created the scariness. You know, it's still all built on illusion. And why would you do that to yourself? Well, maybe it's not an active thing. Maybe it's not an intellectual, logical thing, Pawn. Maybe it's just chemical reactions, weird things going on in your brain, and your brain turning them into... I'm fine with that. I'm not arguing against that. I don't need it to be anything. I just need you to, like, get on board with the fact that very regularly you experience reality, and then you wake up from it and realize that that reality was created by you. That reality was in your imagination. Pawn, cheer 50 for Pawn Jet. Okay. Don't worry, I'm going to set it aside. It's not going to be used for anything other than the jet, and once I have the jet, it's only going to be used for official Church of Ronin pawn businesses. Don't worry about it. You can trust me. And then there's a big asterisk floating over my head for the rest of the live stream. Please pull in for a vehicle inspection. Will do. Will do. Inspect my reality. Because it should be quite obvious to everyone in chat now that our realities are imaginary. And what you experience in your dreams, you know, you don't have to come along with me in the notion that what we're experiencing right now continues to be a dream. You don't have to come along with me on that. You do have to come along with me, I think, or you're just not a rational person, in recognizing that in the course of your day, most of what you perceive to be real has gone through such a process of filtration that it's mostly your imagination. Yeah, there's external stimuli, sure, I'll go ahead and give you that. There's external stimuli, there's colors, there's sounds, there's sights, there's smells, there's tastes, all of that. Sure, fine. By the time you actually experience and process it, because of what goes on in your head, you have created a surreality that is more surreal than it is real. Ice Cream, seen that Fallout 76 teaser? Ready for new Fallout games, says me-san? I haven't seen the trailer, the teaser. I have heard a lot of people talking about it. I honestly never cared much about the Fallout franchise. I remember playing one in the way back, and, you know, it was fine. I don't remember much of it, basically. You know, it was... Whatever it was, it didn't stick with me. Open the beer. So I'm not excited or not excited about it. It's a thing that's going to come out. I wasn't a fan of Fallout 4, felt like it swept the rug out from under me by taking me down this, like, it just told you for the whole beginning of the game, here's the style of game you're going to be playing, and then completely switched gears and did a completely different thing, and it was just such whiplash. I couldn't recover from it, and also just wasn't at a place in my life where I wanted to be playing that kind of massive open-ended sandbox where a large portion of the game is collecting paper clips from fucking drawers and things. It just wasn't for me then. Played games like that before, enjoyed the hell out of them, not saying there's something bad about those kind of games. Wasn't for me at that point in my life, because reality is subjective. Cheer 5. The brain chooses to scare you because the only thing the brain fears is boredom, says Parallel. I go on for hours on that. Thank you, Parallel. Who then says Fallout 4 sucked, honestly? Damn it, I need to arrange things, and I can't have hands on the wheel and be paying attention to the road. Now that's the wipers. Lights. Lights. Wipers off. Okay. Who did a thing, though? Somebody did a thing and I missed it, didn't they? Because memories can be verified by recordings and video. Cheer 10. And for some, it contradicts their perceived reality, says Mosaic Task Force. For most. For most. You take pictures of things, you take video of things. I remember, I've told this story before, but it's that thing in my head that sticks out as like quintessential expression for me in my lifetime of this. I remember being very young, probably single digits, and doing a school talent show. And I remember, because I was, you know, very into comedy and never stopped being, I did a comedy routine, most of which was stolen material from professional comics, because I was very into comedy at a very young age, so I had memorized a lot of sets. But I did have a couple of my own jokes. And one of the jokes was, it's at a school, you know, setting. It's at a school, you know, gymnasium for my classmates and teachers and whatnot. So I stand up at the mic and I tell this joke, something along the lines of, so, anybody here have Mr. Smith's, you know, 5th hour math class? Jesus, that guy gives so much homework. So much homework that guy gives. How you doing, ma'am? So much homework I take home with me. When it's time for dinner, my mom hooks up a IV so that I can eat intravenously. I'm like, geez, Mom, not the mashed potatoes again, it really clumps up my veins. That was the punchline, anyway. I was 9. It was funny. I remember that, telling that joke, as not being able to get through it because I was laughing at my own joke so much. I remember it as being so nervous on stage, and also, like, I thought it was a really good joke, and so, like, you know, I was proud of it. I'm very young. I wrote a joke. It follows, like, the form and meter of stand-up comedy and stuff like that. And I was telling the joke, and I couldn't get through it. Like, I was laughing while I was trying to tell it, and then I told it, and then everybody just laughed, like, blew up. I finally got through it, and everybody was laughing with me. That's how I remember it. There is a videotape, VHS, if not something even older, of me telling that joke. And people laughed, but I told the joke as though I had a fucking broom stuck up my ass. Like, my entire performance was rigid. I looked like I was scared as shit. I was, you know, inflecting. I was using my voice, but in terms of, like, my movements and stuff, my whole posture was, like, just screamed nervousness. That's what actually happened. What I know happened from my memory was, you know, I was up there selling the joke, and it was so funny to me, I'm like curling over myself. I'm like, that's how I remember it. It's not how it happened. Our reality from moment to moment is so skewed by our perception, by our wants for it to be a certain way, by our assumptions, by our individual experiences that are different from those of everyone else around us. By the time reality gets through to whatever tiny little portion of the brain you want to attribute as being the center and the seat and the host of consciousness, it is something entirely different than what actually is. And then when it comes back out of your head, you know, once it gets into your head, well, now it tends to be a two-way process. You tend to then, you know, interact with your own memories, share your experiences with other people. What comes in a conversation then comes out in your thoughts on what was said. By the time it goes in, by the time it reaches you, it's been colored once. By the time it goes out, you can barely see the shred of reality at the core of it. All I'm asking you to acknowledge is that your experience as a human being is far more than what is. It's far more than what you believe to be, and what you perceive to be, objective reality. There was something I remembered so clearly and precisely, and now I can't remember what it was, but it was pointed out to me that no, that's not right, and it made me so mad, says Parallel, to have a memory. Oh, wait, we were talking about Fallout. The factions were bland extremes, the plot was predictable and boring, the settlement building was fairly unpolished, and didn't amount to much, but it was the best part of the game, really. Yeah, after that intro to Fallout 4, I was just looking for a game that was going to be more of a, you know, what it had established. It's going to be a story-building game where we go through the story and, you know, have interactions with characters, and everything that happened for the first 20-25 minutes of the game was going to matter, mean something. You're on a journey to save the... fuck spoilers. You're on a journey to save your child who was stolen from you in the cryogenic chamber, and they killed your mate. Whether you decided to play as a woman and it was your husband who died, or a man. They killed your loved one and then stole your baby. Now go out and find your baby in this new future world, if they're still out there to be found. And then immediately you walk out and they're like, hey, you want to, instead of going and finding your child who may be in the hands of God knows who right now, what if you built us a well instead? Huh? Look at, there's a cave over there with some goo glowing in it. There might be some extra, like, super powerful weapons. Ooh, paper clips and mailboxes. Paper clips and mailboxes. Our fucking kid, who's been kidnapped and raised by fucking wolves right now, for all we know, in a future apocalypse. Fuck them. Paper clips and mailboxes. It just didn't seem to, it didn't follow the tone that had been established in the first 15 to 20 minutes. I feel I would have responded better to the game had they not set it up to fail like that. Told me it's going this way, it's going this way, it's going this way, and I'm slowly like, okay, I'm on board for this. Okay, let's do this then. If they would have started out with, this game is going to be a game about collecting paper clips from mailboxes, then it wouldn't have been as much of a letdown when it turned into a paper box mail clip collector. Paper box mail clip collector. Cheer 5. What kid? My character doesn't have a kid. Wasn't even married, says a guy called Jim. I don't know. Once you mod the game out. There was... The plot of Fallout 4 involved a child. Did it not? Did it not? The trailer makes Fallout 76 seem like it's taken more from inside the vault, says Leonidas 5. Mm-hmm. The game still went that direction, Pawn. It just gave you the option of collecting paper clips and mailboxes. Yeah, except for there was so much of paperclip mailbox, like, that drowned anything. Like... When you're standing in a world as a player, this is an objective reality. This isn't this isn't based on my perspective. This is real. When you're standing in a game as a player and you are surrounded by 9 million things that you could be doing, and then told, it's very important that you do this one thing, the developers are sending you two different messages, you know? Where's the fucking game? What's the best part of the game? Where am I going to find the most of the game? What do you want me to play right now? We're just giving you options. Okay. Is it a sandbox, or is it a story-based progression arc thing do I have, like, time to figure this out, or is it in a rush? There's multiple messages being sent there, and they do not coalesce at any point in the game. You get into it and you see, yeah, I could go in any direction, I could do anything, and what? I didn't want it. I was not interested in a game that didn't know where it wanted me to go, you know? Because that was my personal experience at the time. But where can we go with this idea now that we've established that your experience as a human being is way more than consciousness and sentience, and in fact is far more, usually for most people, far more surreality than reality, far more what you put on top of the information that's coming in via your senses than what your senses are telling you. Your senses, which, by the way, are also a surreality because, you know, they're organisms, they're organelles that have developed into organs that feed information in a very specific way that only gather certain portions of the information into a brain that then interprets that information in a very specific way, and while it's doing it, then colors it based on the user of the brain's pre-existing experiences, ideas, opinions. You know, the reason why, like, everyone has an ego to some extent, okay? And ego is not necessarily a bad thing. Ego is an expression of the part of a human being, for me at least, my definition of an ego, I don't know what Freud calls it, but my definition of an ego is the part of a human being that is a semi-permeable shell for data acquisition. You like that? You like that? Very scientific way to express it. You have a semi-permeable shell around you called your ego. And that ego actively bounces things off that it doesn't want to come in. Words that come in, I mean, have you not had the experience of just getting an email that starts out in a certain tone and you have to read it but you don't want to because you just don't want to deal with someone else's bullshit right now and you don't agree with them and or maybe they're like, right, you know, you're reading an email, you're reading a message from somebody over Discord or something like that, and there's a part of you that knows that what they're saying has validity, but it's a criticism of your behavior, and don't your eyes just naturally just kind of start walking away from the text, you start skipping through it, you're reading every other third word, that kind of thing? That is a very gross expression of what is happening almost all the time with your perception of reality. Because the ego's job is to block out those things that discount it, that make it seem like less, that invalidate you as a person, as something real. That's the ego's job. And it does it quite well. So anything that comes in, semi-permeable shell, anything that comes in that threatens to undermine your image of yourself, the ego takes action to try and say, we don't need that information. It's not important, and bounce it off. And anything that reinforces the self, the ego just consumes like coal in a fucking flame. Cheer 10, a perfect example of different perspectives based on sensory input is the tale of the five blind men and the elephant, says Gohan 0646. I may be familiar with that tale, but I don't recall it off the top of my head. If you want to tell it in chat, tell it. Major Lord Exelberth said something a lot. I am trying to drive and read. It's great. Let's do a Sudoku puzzle while we're at it. No argument that they could have done a better job with the intro and giving the player direction. Hell, probably would have been better if they didn't have that Mama Murphy character at all and had Garvey take you to Diamond City himself in exchange for getting the little sanctuary quests taken care of. Anywho, back to the reality topic. Water is transparent for us, says Mosaic Task Force, but not in UV light. Some clothing is transparent in UV, though. Our sight has evolved to the perception of water being transparent, says Mosaic Task Force. That's right. All of our organs' perceptions of reality are their perceptions of reality. We experience certain color bands, certain frequencies. The reason why so many other technologies work wirelessly is because we don't hear the sound that's being made, but it's just sound. It's vibration of the air, just like any other sound. But it's either it's either below our hearing range or above our hearing range. But it's still there. Doesn't mean it's not happening just because you cannot perceive it. Just like the frequencies of light that we don't see, and the ultraviolets and the extremely low red wavelengths. Just because we don't see them doesn't mean they're not there, and we now have technology that can detect them. But before we had technology that would detect them, very many people would say those don't exist. Because that was obvious. It was obvious. And if someone's eyes happened to perceive ultraviolet, happened to perceive a higher frequency, or happened to perceive one of those low red-shifted frequencies, those kind of things, they might walk around the world and say, do you not see that? Do you not see the glow coming off of that stone? It's so warm I can see are you not seeing it? People with higher hearing or lower hearing might go, are you kidding me? You don't hear the low, Jesus, is there going to be an earthquake? And the people around them would have thought that they were fucking insane and said, this man is crazy. No, this man sees more. This man hears more. Because everyone's perception is different. and people who want to live in a world where everything is equal and reality is just reality, I don't know how you ignore so many other people. You know, because what I see is in, like, politics and policy, in politics and policy, I see so many people who want to, like, present a version of the world that we're going to fix that just ignores so many other human beings. There's so many people who don't have the abilities that you have and that you take for granted, who are either physically or intellectually disabled in some way, who have less ability to perceive due to no fault of their own, who have less ability to be motive due to no fault of their own, other than that they were born. And yet, so much of our politics and our policy is built around this assumption that, no, it works for me. I don't have a problem with it. It doesn't affect people of my income level, my skin color, my ethnicity, my origin, my level of physical or intellectual capacity. Who's cheering? Who's cheering? Jim, ice cream. Pff, I don't have an ego. Okay, I'm fine with that. Fun fact, the blonde Fallout kid is actually holding up his thumb to compare it to the size of a nuclear blast. What? Oh, really? That thing? Okay. Cheer 5, is the dress yellow or blue? Says Parallel. It's gold. It's not yellow. Cheer 5, Yanni or Laurel? Yeah, I heard about that one. Thank God I only heard a little bit about it. One video, just Wheezy Waiter, and I know it's probably some huge thing, and Twitter is all over and all that. It's so nice to have cut off most of social media, you know? See one video about something and know that it's the fidget spinner of the hour, and oh, I'm so glad I don't have to be part of that. It's curious to hear about it once, you know? But when it's like a global thing, it's like, what the fuck are we all wasting our time on? It's better to just not see it. And then Gohan0646 cheering 50. 5 blind men were all asked to feel and describe an elephant. Each man grabbed a different portion, I do recall this, and described it differently. Man 1 touching the side says it's a wall. Man 2 touching a leg says it's the trunk of a tree. Man 3 touching the tusk says it's a spear, etc., etc. I do recall that. So much of our assumptions that reality is reality are like the problems of the society and of the world. Because we assume that our reality is real, even though we have all the evidence without having to do a scientific study, without having to formulate a hypothesis. All the evidence is presented just by being awake. Not even by being awake, you can be asleep. Sometimes being asleep is what makes you aware of this, is the triggering point. Oh my god, this isn't real, is it? You don't even have to be awake to realize this. It's so apparent and evident just by the nature of our existences that our version of reality is not reality. The question that we should be, you know, the thing that we should be discussing is there reality? Cheer 50, says Gohan. Point being, if the problem is bigger than your ability to grasp all its dimensions, you will never be 100% correct or even close to correct. And then there's, like, the thing that I would want to talk about there is it possible for someone to grasp all the dimensions of anything? Because I do not make the assumption that the answer is yes. I'm not going to say a hard no either. I'm just going to say, in my world, to my reality, that question has to remain a question. And to those who don't think that that's a question, who think that there is an answer to it, and the answer is yes. Yes, absolutely. You can conceive of something completely. I have less faith and trust in, like, you, in working with you, in dealing with you, in your opinions, if you've already made that conclusion, because I see no scientific evidence to prove. I see no evidence just without science at all, but even with science, I can see no evidence that it is possible for any individual perspective to be able to contain all of the dimensions of one thing. Now, as a Zen practitioner, I would also put it as a question, but I would say that I lean toward the perspective that, yes, all dimensions can be contained. All views, all criterion can be contained in one consciousness, in one perspective. but that perspective is not the perspective of an individual. I have to stop here, right? I didn't read it. Usually when it beeps like that, it means I have to stop. I don't know. Maybe I was allowed to pass it. We'll stop just because I didn't pay attention. Stop at the trucks. Oh, God, I'm speeding in here, too, and the cops like to sit in these things and ticket truckers, don't they? There you go. You know, Paul, the answer to what are we wasting our time on when we have those global fidget spinner moments is that we're sharing our experiences of reality, says Major Lord Exenbruth. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's not a bad thing. It's definitely not a bad thing. It's just my perspective on it, which is as valid as any other perspective. Which is to say, no perspective is valid. Or, you could also say it and mean exactly the same thing. All perspectives are valid. But that's where I live. That's the world where I live in. That's my headspace. Is that nothing matters, aka everything matters. Nothing is real, aka everything is real. Those aren't two competing premises in my mind. They are the same thing, two different sets of words to express them. Much like, if you're familiar with the Incredibles movie, right? Like, for that silly little movie, that one line hit me pretty hard, and it's early in the film too. From the little kid talking to his dad. The little kid has superpowers. These are special people, and they are trying to hide from the world because they don't want to be known that they're superheroes, because it's not a good thing to be a superhero anymore. Just trying to live a normal life. And this child, born into this world where he has abilities he's not allowed to use, is frustrated and looks up to the father who has, you know, told him, don't use your powers, we got to keep a low profile here. And, you know, he says, but I have these powers, I'm special, I want to use what's special about me. And the father says, everyone is special, and the child replies, that's just another way of saying no one is. And that is true. That is absolutely true. And I have immense respect for that film that they never, like, came back and tried to answer that and try and turn it back around to, no, that's not what that means, no. Everyone is special doesn't mean no one is special. No, the child from the fucking mouths of babes spoke the truth of reality, and just the mic fell and nobody touched it for the rest of the movie. If everything is immensely important, nothing is important. If nothing is important, then everything is important. That is the unity of existence. Importance and reality is defined by the user. And I would say that there is more to science these days in quantum mechanics to support that as a conclusion than any other conclusion. That reality is inherently... I'm running out of fuel. I'm running out of fuel, and I noticed it. Reality is inherently intertwined with the source of perception. And that the source of perception may even alter the nature of reality. We know that it alters the nature of reality for the individual. We know that. We've been talking about it for 2 hours now. It took me an hour and a half just to get to the point where it felt like, we were all on board in chat, for me to find a way to express myself correctly, to find a way to express myself that could be heard. But we're all on board for that now, right? We know that reality is inherently changed per user of the reality, based on the user's configurations. Talking in code now, because we've been coding a lot lately. Based on the configurations you set in your init file, your reality will be shaped differently than someone else's. We have to agree on that. Your perceived reality. The only question that remains is there an actual reality? And the thing is, when I look at information that I fully admit to not understanding, quantum mechanics, quantum shit, that is not new, by the way. Quantum mechanics, quantum theories, this is not new stuff. It's still very much a realm, an area of science that needs a lot of answers that it doesn't have. But like every electronic device that you own, your phone operates on quantum mechanics because it has a capacitor which uses quantum principles. Most electronics use some form of quantum principles in order to function. So it's nothing new, it's nothing hippy-dippy, it's no nouveau stuff. But when I do look at quantum mechanics and when I try to understand what it seems to be saying through my veil of surreality when I read it, it definitely seems to be pointing to the conclusion that the nature of reality is malleable based on who is observing reality, based on what is observing reality. And almost everything in physics seems to follow that, regardless of whether it's quantum or not. You know, time and objects. Time is completely subjective, right? The perspective on time depends on you. And there's so many layers to the perspective of time when you come to a human being perceiving time. Because we know that time expresses itself differently at different speeds and under different mass scenarios in the universe. But we also know, from our own experiences as human beings, that we as individuals perceive time differently based on a number of different conditions. Whether you've just smoked a fatty boom blatty blunt can be one of those conditions. Tends to be one of my experiences when I have had a bit of the marijuana, that time, my perception of time, slows down. I see more, there is more time between events, I see more of the little things that are happening, and it seems like a conversation that probably took 2 minutes, took ages to get through, and I have trouble remembering what we were talking about in that 2-minute conversation, because my perception of time, I felt like most of the time I was sitting there waiting for you to say what I already knew you were going to say. Like, it's obvious. Just get through the sentence. I'm there. But that's just chemical. When we want something to happen, when we're waiting for the pot to boil, time passes slowly by our perception. When we're in a hurry to try and get somewhere and we're not sure if we're going to make it on time, if I really gotta pee and the live stream's coming back and I haven't checked the time on it, ooh, I gotta pee, time suddenly seems to move faster because you need to be there on time. So there's this layer of perception that human beings can't get past in terms of time. And then there's the layer of time where it actually does distort and distend on a physical basis. I mean, we propose technologies. NASA has proposed a technology a warp core, that is theoretically possible with enough energy. They've actually done a 3D model of what the ship would look like, and it would have warp coils, which is fucking awesome, in order to generate the warp field around the ship, in order to distort and distend the nature of reality, in order to bend space-time in such a way as to travel across space-time in a period of time that is faster than a photon can move, that is faster than forget photons, than a massless entity can move in this universe. I mean, if you're into science, if you're interested in science, and your idea is that science helps us define the world, and helps us know that the world is real, and helps us know fiction from reality, I wonder what science you're studying. Because everything that I see in science, it helps us to codify what we observe. It helps us to communicate it, it helps us to acknowledge it and to write it down, but in terms of our information that we've gathered suggesting or implying in any sense that the world is real, that our perceptions are real, that the universe is hard and fast and operates under rules. We've got rules. But everything, when I look at it, I just see a whole bunch of rules that when you get deeper and deeper into the rules, all can be bent. All reflect yet again that reality isn't stable. It isn't really real. That reality is inherently tied up in the entities that are observing reality. Did I ever stop and get gas? Did I ever stop and get gas? I never stopped and got gas. I'm gonna run out of gas, aren't I? Stop it. It was the mom that said that, not the dad, says Major Lord Exoberth. Was it? I'm out of gas. I'm out of gas. Okay, well, I got kind of off the highway. At least I noticed it. Is that a good thing, Pawn? F7, call the service center and haul my ass for 1132 to wherever you gotta haul my ass to. Was it the mom? I could have swore it was the dad. Okay. They brought up that quote at the end of the movie from the perspective of the villains as Major Lord Exoberth. Really? I don't remember that. Syndrome proclaims he will make everyone super because when everyone is super, no one is super, says Major. Yeah, it was a very, like, built into the plot kind of a thing, but in terms of, like, they did not, in my perspective in that movie, they didn't, like, try and undermine that point. They didn't try and bring it back to a happy, shiny perspective, you know? That, no. No. Being special is real. They didn't do that, and that was nice. They made me happy because of that. There's a lot of cheaters here. Let me turn down the audio. Let's get over here. We're gonna have another live stream break. Pawn, it was the mom that said that, not the dad. That was Major Dogs of Birth. Morgan Freeman smokes Mary Jane every day, says Dendy. Of course he does. He's God, you know. You think God could deal with all the shit down here? Could look down on this without, like, being a little bit... I watched the most recent Shane video, and in it, his brother said there was a drug that when 90% of people first use it, they hear, I'm glad you found this technology. Okay. I don't know what to say about that. A guy called Jim, Cheers 5. That was just a concept pawn. IXS Enterprise, I think. Not scientifically proven to be impossible, but about as far from possible as can be. As far as I know, all of the... Like, there's very little that's been scientifically proven. But as far as I know, the concept of folding space is just, by all of the physics that we have, is very much possible. Just requires a lot of energy. As far as everything that looks on paper. So, yeah, it's a theoretical thing, but almost all of reality, kind of what I'm saying, all of reality is a theoretical thing. Isn't it? It's all hypothetical. It's being observed by us, looking out on it and experiencing with it, having an experience with it subjectively. And we have subjectively created ways to try and chronicle and catalog it as though those are going to create a solidity and a rigidity to it. And it's given us a lot of rules and a lot of things that now allow us to understand the universe and the way that it works, you know, better. And I'm not saying that those rules aren't real or that they don't mean anything. I'm not saying thermodynamics isn't a thing. I rely on thermodynamics when I want to turn a Zen argument into a science argument quite a lot. I rely on thermodynamics. I rely on Newtonian physics. I'm quite happy for those to be real. I'm just saying the deeper that you look at reality, the deeper you looked down the rabbit hole in all of the angles of science, the rabbit hole just goes deeper and deeper, and what you perceive as being something becomes made of small somethings, becomes made of things that aren't actually somethings, becomes fields in which things just seem to emerge, becomes particles which seem to be blipping in and out of existence, possibly phasing between dimensional realms, and the deeper you look, the more you see that there's no way to study something without corrupting it, without changing it by your perspective. A core precept of quantum physics that people are still trying to disprove, and, you know, maybe they will, and I hope they do, because we need a unified quantum theory, is that you cannot measure something in all of the ways at once. You can't observe something from all angles in all of its states at once. You just can't do it. In other words, in perception of reality at a quantum level, what you look at it, the angle at how you look at it, how you choose to measure it, the fact that you are observing it changes how it presents itself. And if everything we know is built on these quantum level energies, and these energies are subjective to the observer, then our entire reality is subjective to the observer. Is a thing that has to be considered and can mean whatever it means to the subjective listener who's interpreting my words through their own personal veil, having to receive them through their ego that is actively trying to defend its own sense of self, which is very much tied up in its ideas and its conclusions about things. There is way more not real to our existence than there is real. I think we can agree to that. I hope we can agree to that. Wouldn't you need a craft as big as a solar system, says Dendy. I don't know. You just need a massive source of power. For example, maybe a very small black hole. A very small black hole creating a massive amount of energy that you could leak off of, or a regular-sized black hole, and then just build use that black hole to generate energy. Because if you fire energy into a black hole at a certain place in the event horizon, it will go in and it will come out. And it will come out with more energy based on if it's got to be a spinning black hole. We'll be back after 7 minutes. Too fucking deep, as the guy called Jim. Too fucking deep. It's only the nature of the existence that you're in. And you don't have to look it in the face, but just don't get all up on your high horse of science and, oh, that doesn't make any sense. And then when I start talking science in depth, and then you're just going to ignore that. Why? Because I got this semi-permeable bubble around me. I want to keep it. I got conclusions that I already drew up. Science is supposed to be the practice of creating a method that puts us out, that allows us to work outside of that permeable shell, because it acknowledges that it exists. Put some mirrors around a black hole, make yourself a universe-ending bomb. Indeed, Parallel. And you can too, kids. We'll show you how right after this 7-minute live stream break here on the Ronin Pawn channel. Go have yourself a pee. Back in 7 minutes. Pawn not out. Hello, I am the Ronin Pawn, and welcome back to a twitch.tv/Ronin Pawn live stream on twitch.tv/Ronin Pawn. Let's go to the hotline. Let's not go to the hotline. The hotline doesn't have. No, I didn't even look. Even look to see what you've been saying. Don't wait. Who cheered? Who cheered? You guys hide your friggin' cheers in the middle of the Jim. Quit it. Hiding the cheer in the middle of this sentence. Don't know whether to cheer because I have been or ice cream because I have ice cream. Cheer 5. Oh well, made by choice now. Right1010 says, so a Publica clone and a what I can see as a Dungeon Defenders clone? The Landfall Games release. It's available for free right now. Is that what we're talking about? Alright. More of the American Truck Simulator in the Zen. Hello, Rai. Bye. What am I looking at? Gameplay? Oh, I must have clicked on some stuff. When the mouse is being on both windows at once now. I don't know what the hell is going on. Oh, I kind of do. In order to fix what Microsoft broke. No, maybe it's just this game. This game is tracking my mouse inputs in a weird way. Anyway, look at us. Look. Is that where I am right now? Why am I in a tunnel? I didn't stop in the middle of a tunnel, did I? That's cool. That's new. They always show you in the same place, but this is in a tunnel with the logo on it. Oh, that's nice. That's a nice little oh, that's pretty. It's fucking pretty as hell, that is. Has that happened before during this live stream and I hadn't noticed it? I was just having a refilling of gas because I didn't get any. Because it's one of these lives. That's just what I do. No maintenance necessary. I only ran over a few little things there. Thanks for the tow, fellas. You know where there's a gas station local? Yeah, no, F5. Okay, I never put the parking brake on. Damn it, assholes. Don't put the parking brake on in my truck while I'm not looking. Maybe they bumped it while they were giving me a Hummer. Alright, thanks for the Hummer anyway. Try and be more careful about the parking brake next time. Thanks. We're in Albuquerque. I don't know where our destination actually is. No, I do. It's like Rococo or something, right? It's Morocco. We're driving to Morocco from wherever it was we started. Look at that old vehicle. Oh, that's a pretty. That's a pretty. And out onto the road without signaling because I am the Ronin Ball. Fortified's difficulty ramps up quickly when playing Soul. Will you stop? I'm tired. Didn't I nap? Could I have napped right where I was just a moment ago? I could have. It's a Peterbilt place, huh? Well, we need a nap and we need gas. So, yeah, just pulling off the side of the road and hanging a Yui and pulling around back to Peterbilt place and having a bit of a nap. I could have swore I just rested. This will be the second time that I've slept on this trip, though. This was a long-ass haul, everybody. Stop sign? Yeah, no cops around. F it. Pulling right through. Gotta save that gas that I don't have. You know, for a day when we're gonna need it. Where the hell do I sleep? Is it out back? It looks like it's supposed to be over there if you look at it on the map. We're gonna pull over here. Pull over here, and the moment that it tells me I can shut the engine down and have a nap, I'm gonna. In fact, if I just pull next to you, real close to you, huh? No. Well, get out of there. I need to nap too. Dick. I know I'm tired. I'm dealing with it. The only way that I know how, which is to park her up, a place where I won't be able to pull her out. There we go. Stop the engine and have another nap. A Publica clone that's better than Publica and a game that I don't know, but it's free. What the hell are you talking about? Huh? Talking about Fortnite? Talking about, accurate battlegrounds? Is that what you're talking about? I downloaded it today. It is free presently on Steam right now. If you want a free game from Landfall, guys, Accurate Battlegrounds to anyone who downloads it from Steam in the first 100 hours that it's available on Steam, apparently, is what I read. Anyway, go have a look. If you want a free game, just remember, you got it from the Ronin Pawn and you owe me money for that jet that I need to buy for my prosperity doctrine gospel. I have some gas. Let's not run out again, but I'm not stopping here in Albuquerque because I don't see one that's easy to get to. Ice Cream. Missed the cheer. Free games on Steam today. Fortified and totally accurate Battlegrounds. Thank you. Thank you, then, for calling my attention to having said what was already said. I needed to say it. I'm the streamer. Oh, that's why I read all of your comments, just to fill space. So we've been talking on Zendnesday here about the fact that you are experiencing more than consciousness, more than sentience, at least if we define consciousness and sentience in an agreeable way, which... I think... Wait, I don't need to turn here. What am I doing? I think we've come to the conclusion that we can agree that what we each individually perceive as reality is not reality, and that there is, in fact, much more to what we perceive as reality than we're actually receiving. If we're going to continue along this dialogue, I think the next thing we have to talk about is, like, what is that? Where does that come from? Why do we have that? Why is it that we perceive the world in such strange and different ways? Why is it that you get nervous for certain things? Because nervousness certainly isn't part of reality, is it? You get nervous to go to... There's no objective state of nervousness, right? There's nothing that can be said, well, you're supposed to be nervous for that. I mean, you can say that. And it can be very reasonable for you to be nervous in certain scenarios, because we've all agreed that, yeah, if I were doing that, I'd be nervous too. But the state of nervousness in and of itself is not an experience of reality. It's not in our eyes, our ears, our noses, our mouths. It's not in the taste or the touch or the scent or the smell. It's called nervosity. I'm sorry. Nervosity. When you're having smosity for your nerves, where does that come from? What's that about? Because, like, maybe my first live stream that I ever did, I presume, yeah, I was probably nervous to go and do a live show and not know how it's gonna go and that sort of a thing. I was nervous. Do I get nervous before a live stream today, doing them 3-4 times a week? No, I don't get nervous before a live stream today. So what happened? The external stimuli is the same. I'm still showing up. I'm still presenting a show, hopefully. Hopefully it can be qualified as a show. I'm still sitting in front of a group of my peers, of people who I hang out with, and saying things, and hoping that I don't put my foot entirely in my mouth, hoping I don't look like a complete fucking knob, that kind of thing, but I'm not nervous about it anymore. What happened? Even though the external stimuli is the same, my internal condition, my internal perception of the events has changed from one of being nervous to one of not being nervous. You know, these days, I'll tell you, if I go to sit down and try and record, like, a YouTube video, there's still a little shred of nervousness there, and it's fun. It's fun that there's a little bit of nervousness there. Because in that scenario, I'll tell you why. Here's my internal process of why. I think if I have to intellectually reconstruct why I experience nervousness if I go to record, it's the knowledge that this is a recording. This is all on film. This is a one-time shot. I mean, I can edit it after the fact. Oh, shit. We gotta deliver this in a hurry, apparently, very soon. The music is kicked in the background. Go, Pawn, go! I'm just gonna do the speed limit. What do you want from me? I ran out of gas. It happens. I reverse engineer my experience, and then I say, okay, well, here's why I feel nervous. Because there's, like, what I record, if it doesn't turn out well, you know, even with editing, there's only so much you can do when you don't have a good recording session. You know, I don't want to put out something that's crap, and I also don't want to have wasted my time and throw away whatever the amount of time a recording session took up. So there's a little bit of nervousness there for me. But there's two important things to note about that. One, my wipers are on. No, one, my headlights are on. There's three important. One, my headlights are on. Two, in order to give rationalism to the experience of having nervousness, in order to explain it, I am retroactively creating a logic and pinning it to it. Wait, I'm gonna have to get off in a second. Because it's just been that long. The refractory period is almost over. You know, I have to have an orgasm. That's not what you were... Oh, okay, never mind. I am reflecting on something that was an experience that I actually had of being nervous, and then creating a reason for it. Our reasons are always bullshit. There's never been a reason that wasn't bullshit. Oh shit, I'm moving in and I'm not looking to my left. Hi. There's no one there anyway. Reasons are always bullshit because you come up with them after the fact. You always come up with them after the fact. Your reasoning is taking something apart and saying, okay, if I had to come up with a reason why I did that, what would it be? And your reasons may be valid. They may make sense. But they are always invented after the experience or the action. Then comes reason. Alright, always is a big term to use, because we do make plans in this world, and we use our logic and our ration, we come up with plans for tomorrow, and we try and make those plans happen, and that sort of a thing. But when you're trying to come up with a reason, which, not an excuse now, no, it's not an excuse, tends to be that you're coming up with a reason that is total fiction. It's crafted in order to make something that was make sense. So that's the first thing to note about trying to explain, you know, the existence of anxiety or nervousness or something like that. I come up with some reasons, I share them with you, but I really did just invent them. And that's exactly what you're doing and what everyone else is doing when they come up with reasons for something after the fact. They are not true. Oh, thank you. Thank you. A little bit of horn for you. They are not inherently true. They may sound good, they may be rational, but they're after the fact. You made them up. Yeah. Where do you need it? I can park it anywhere. So that's the second most important thing. That's the first most important thing to notice about this. Oh shit. Where is it that you actually want this? Can't even see it. I gotta back up and put it over there? Right? I'm facing this way. I gotta back up and move it over... No, it's through the building, Pawn. It's through the building and back out the other side. Do I go through on that side and then come around, or can I get around the edge of the building over there? I'm gonna go through the building this way and probably screw myself over. 05. Whoa, a video file on my PC got corrupted and it's scrambled like a puzzle now. Perfectly playable, but all the little blocks in the video are scrambled. Looks really trippy. I saw some screenshots on the Discord channel. It looked beautiful. It looked like an oil painting, some of the little stills that you put there, if it's the same one you're talking about. Oh fuck, all my video files are scrambled. Maybe it's the player then. Maybe it's the player if it... I don't know. I don't know. Where am I supposed to put this? To skip parking? Wait. God damn it. Put the thing back on my screen so I can see where you wanted it. You want it... Is it... It's to my left now and ahead? To my left and ahead. Oh, shit. Okay. No, it's fine. It's fine. You're blocking the way. Somebody else parked up over there. Thanks, douche nozzle. They need this in a hurry. We'll get to the other thing that's very noteworthy about the source of things like nervousness and anxiety. The source of all things that aren't actually real. For now, I need to park this damn truck. And also, I hope you really, really, really heard and paid attention to that thing about your reasons are nonsense that you imagine and make up after the fact. Shit. Shit, 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 shit. This is not going to be an easy turn to make. I'm going to have to push this all the way back and then come in really, really wide. That's the plan now. Oh, good, and you left a truck in the place where... Yeah, that's why it's going to give you 90 XP if you can pull it off, going... Yeah, turn hard. Turn hard. There we go. And then swing it in. Yeah, I should have stayed wider before I came into it, but I think I made it. I think I got it. I got it. I got her through, and now I just need to swing her to the right and then back her in the straight. VLC is broken as F. Always has been, says a guy called Jim. Be honest with you, VLC was great when I first found it, years and years, like a decade ago. Hey Kenneth, I see you here, and my experience has been, as time has gone on, it's been less and less great. It was just great that it like did everything. It had all the different file formats in it. You didn't need a QuickTime player separate from this player and download the frickin' codec for this, that, and the other thing. VLC saves so many issues. And then when I try to go and do anything more complicated with it than play back a simply encoded file, it's less universal these days. is what I have to say about it. Okay, I am coming in very nicely at this. I wonder when they wanted it delivered and if I'm there yet. It's 8:05 p.m. and my ETA is 8:05 p.m., but I don't know when they actually wanted it. Okay, we're coming in nice. We got a good angle. Got a good angle. I'm going to move it just a little bit more to my left. So my left like that. And then right at the end here, I'll start swinging it back in to go a little bit straighter. Get our wheels right on that green line there. And then let her just ease herself back in. And I am the Ronin pawn. Yeah. Yeah. Drop it. Quickly. Give me my money. I wasn't late. Was I late? Good work. I think I was late. Damage penalty. No, it was just damage penalty. Alright, that's fine. As long as I wasn't late. It's a long friggin' haul. That was a long friggin' haul. 1,436 miles. I had to nap twice. Ran out of gas once. So, you know, I'm running average. We've come up from level 21 to 22. Gives me more pawn points in chat, doesn't it? By the way, hi, Kenneth. It has been years since I encountered anything VLC couldn't handle, says Kenneth 1. You know what, as I'm complaining about VLC, I will say that I haven't been using it actively because I had problems with it. And I had troubles, and so I just use whatever's handy now. You know, I haven't had call to try and use something else for a while. I got Handbrake for my encodings and stuff like that. I got Premiere. Usually I don't have to go to those resources. So, fuel economy, since I keep running out of gas. Instead of stopping and getting more gas when I notice it, I'll just keep jacking up my fuel economy until it's not a problem anymore. Till this thing runs on fart vapors. Because I can generate those on the road very easily, in fact. Okay, that was our job. We're gonna need another job. We're gonna need one that's slightly shorter than 2 hours and 40 minutes that the first job was. Not a quick job, but a job nonetheless. We're in Sakuro? Why do you keep putting it back to Reno? This is a freight market job. It says I'm in Reno again. I own my own truck. Shouldn't I be wherever I left? That's wrong. That's wrong. Ice cream. So I have this folder with crap from TV shows, etc. that I downloaded off YouTube for reference for my 80s themed series thing, and it's all in 480p or lower. It F's up half and plays the other half fine, but it's kind of random. Memory corruption? I'm not talking hard drive corruption, which could also be the thing. Maybe the hard drive is dying, and so it's maybe the data's still in there, but it's putting out the data wrong. But maybe also RAM corruption. I mean, what I'm saying is there's a possibility that your files aren't fucked. Which should be something, there's something to be happy about. Maybe my files aren't completely fucked. Should be nice. Yeah, I would cross my fingers for RAM. If you've got multiple sticks, pull one of them out, and then keep trying just one at a time. I guess. The hard drive is brand new, says a guy called Jim. Well, that's just more likely to be wrong, then. If you don't have a lot of experience with it, if you haven't seen it be stable, then the fact that it's new, that just, I'd suspect it even more. We're back in Reno. That's wrong. I shouldn't be in Reno. I should be wherever I ended. They give you a free place to call your home base, and I own my own truck. This isn't a quick job. Why did I end up back at Reno again? It's very, very wrong. We'll do another job and we'll see if it throws me back at Reno, and we won't do one that takes an hour and a half this time. So from Reno to Fresno. Much shorter thing, we're carrying some empty pallets. Why would anyone pay to move empty pallets? You know, that's something you have somebody bring back with them when the truck is half empty or something. You don't pay money, but do you? Do people actually pay to move? Maybe if they're like strong, like metal pallets or something serious. Yeah, they put me back at my house again instead of leaving me out at Rococo or Morocco, wherever it was that we were. You bastards. Put the headlights on. Not the windshield wipers. It's L. I'm sorry. The fact that windshield wipers is on P, I didn't do that either. I'm moving my truck and putting the goddamn parking brake on. I don't believe in parking brakes. I don't use them. Alright. Where are we going with this damn load? I'm going out into the right. I'll do that. Put your headlights on, dude. It's dark out. It's getting there. It's dusk. Hazmat regulations. Leonidas 5, says Kenneth 1. Leonidas 5 is not a... That's not a command. You gotta do cheer 5 with an exclamation point. Pawn, you're supposed to pee to clean... You're supposed to pee to clean the windshield, says Kenneth 1. Oh, that makes it all make sense. Every time I go to turn the lights on, because that pee is... Because wipers is on something that doesn't make sense... It makes sense because it's near the lights, so I get it. But because it's a different letter, my mind goes, well, lights aren't on L, because P isn't on W. And I can't stop myself. I can't help myself. It's my perspective. It's my illusion of reality, like we've been talking about. So, anxiety. The same stimuli occurs, but you have different, different experience based on not external circumstances. Same shit, different day, but because different day, different experience of those circumstances. And I'm just picking being nervous and being anxious out of a hat here. You know, talking about nervousness because it's convenient, but all of your experiences are like this. You know? You go out with a friend, get some pizza, maybe some ice cream, a really great time. It's fun. You know? Talk with your friend, felt good. You know, it's just, it was good. It was a good day, it was a good time, loved it, would do again. 8 out of 8, great mate, would pizza, ice cream again. Another time, go out with same friend, same place, pizza, ice cream. You haven't done it a million times. It's not because it's boring. It's just, you're going out again, same friend, same... It just feels different. It's wrong. It's not an enjoyable experience. I had this recently. My friend Greg, we went out to grab pizza at the local place, you know? Nice to get together after some time, and just the whole time I was in such a fucked up headspace that it was miserable. I'm pretty sure for the both of us. And I was a huge part of the misery. But same external circumstances, different experience. What is that about? Where does that come from? We reason it out, we rationalize it, we say, well, I was thinking about some things, I was this, that was going on in my life, and yeah, those are all reasonable explanations, but they are just reasonable explanations. They are just guesses. They are a rationale you built after the fact in order to fit the circumstances. And it's not super scientific. It's part of science. Looking at something going, well, I didn't expect that to happen. Why not? And then trying to come up with a reason. So, bear in mind, your reasoning, which so many of us in this community like to rely on as being like, oh, that's me, that's the source of my, that's what makes me different from the animals and stuff like that, is bullshit you make up after the fact to make your world make sense the way you want it to. Acknowledge that, because that's just a fucking truth. And then, I guess what I wanted to kind of look at or talk about and see if we can't come to something, because I don't even know where I'm going, but it's the question at the tip of my tongue, at the tip of my brain, where does that come from? I don't know that I have an answer for you. But where does that come from? Why do we experience the same external stimuli so differently? Moment to moment, day to day, same shit, different day, and yet completely different tone, completely different color to the scenario. There has been a report that ice cream is broken. Is it, says Kenneth 1? It's totally fucked. You can't use it, I'm sorry. None of the messages are going to come through. Don't even try it, Kenneth. Don't even try it. You know. You know me, yes. Hello, officer. She's looking down. She didn't see a damn thing. Plus, I'm a big truck. Big trucks get away with more on the road. Do they? Do they? I mean, I should hope so, based on what I've seen. You know, these guys will park in the middle of the friggin' street while they're trying to turn into something to stop all the traffic. Nobody writes them up a ticket, because the hell else are they gonna do? Right? Maybe. Where does that come from? Why do we have that experience? Why is our reality so surreal? And we can only postulate. We can only guess. We can only do exactly what I'm saying, you know, please recognize that your reasoning is bullshit, that your logic is bullshit when you apply it retroactively to something that was real. I mean, your surreal experience is real. You really experienced it. Ice cream, says Jermason. Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's not going to work. It doesn't work. Quit doing it. That's weird. I see, Jermason, that you did that twice. Well, wait. 7 seconds later, does it come through again? It didn't work the first time, and you weren't charged for it the first time, Jermacian. Okay, so we're getting some inconsistency in the ice cream delivery. Verified. Confirmed. Oh, you misspelled? Did you? Ice? Oh, and there was no I in there. I see. Okay, it's working. It's working. Where does it come from? What is the source of it? And all we can do is come up with bullshit logic and reasons that just seem to make sense to us, that just sound good when we say them out loud, which is really what it all comes down to. But we're human beings. We got time. You know, hopefully. A couple of years before the Reaper comes for us. Wait, I gotta get immediately off again. Are you... Oh, no. Next one. Next one. It's this one I get off at. So, what are our thoughts? Why is it that our experiences are so surreal? You know, we have this thing, emotions. And these emotions color our experience. We have this thing, mood, which is influenced by emotions, and color all of our experience to be a certain way that is different than the way it is. We get nervous before we go to stand in front of a crowd and speak or do something like that, and we all consider it very, very natural because we all experience it a lot, like uniformly. Not all of us, but a lot of us experience it so uniformly that we back each other up on that. Yeah, well, it's reasonable to be nervous there. I'd be nervous too. But nervousness in and of itself is not reasonable. You're just doing something. Are you nervous when you go take a shit? Oh, I hope this shit really goes well. I hope people like this shit. I hope people can associate with, you know, they don't argue with this shit. I hope I don't look like an idiot while I'm shitting. You don't get nervous about that usually, anyway. You know, if you've got some problems going on down there, then you might get nervous about your shit. Different circumstances creating different scenarios. So why is it you don't get nervous about going to the party, but you get nervous about standing in front of people and talking, that most people would, you know, especially the first time you do it? What's the source of that? And how is it that we even have that experience? It's not external stimuli. You know? What is this emotions? What are these moods? What's all that about? Are we just going to say that it's, I mean, I'm not saying this is wrong, but are we just going to say chemical imbalance in the brain? You know? Static? Line noise? Because that doesn't figure, actually. Chemical imbalance and line noise doesn't figure, because usually you can reproduce the circumstances that cause you nervousness. And you have to slowly get accustomed to them and associate, and then, like, you build an experience doing that, and then the nervousness slowly wanes until it's not there at all. But you can typically recreate the experience of being afraid of something that you shouldn't be afraid of, that you have no reason to fear. Or that you do have reason to fear, but that other people don't fear. You know, jumping out of a plane, that kind of a thing. People, you know, don't get nervous about that. They jump out of a plane, and, oh, this is so fun! And they feel safe. They got a backpack on that's got a big piece of cloth in it, and that's enough for them, because they're fucking lunatics. So the idea that it's line noise, that it's chemical imbalance in the brain doesn't figure, because you can reproduce it. It's not random. So why? Why do we have these differently colored experiences when we know that coloration, that mood, that emotion isn't real? Paul, get off again. You don't get a break for your refractory period, said Kenneth 1. I will get off at the period, at the rate that works out for my body. I have studied my refractory period immensely. I have a lot of data. Few people will look at it, though. It's just a shame. I should probably empty that waste bin, too, full of all that crumpled tissue of my data. Wisdom. Please pull in for a vehicle inspection. You! I don't wanna. Wisdom. More than 90% of all species that arose since life began on Earth, 3.8 billion years ago, are extinct. Modern humans arose about 200,000 years ago. Jesus Christ, what are you doing? I'm trying to read over here. We are different from all preceding species in that we are self-consciously intelligent, a property that has the potential to either hasten, retard, or even prevent our eventual demise. Most likely, hasten. And also, that is a bit of an assumption. It's a fair assumption, but it is a bit of an assumption that we are different from all preceding species in that we are self-consciously intelligent because we have no known data on preceding species that went extinct before us, and the data that we have on other species is limited to our perspective. We have to acknowledge that dolphins may be fucking geniuses. They've got a language, clearly. They run and pet. They're very smart animals. They seem to be self-aware as well as aware of the exterior, as well as there's a lot of animals that move in groups. Just because we don't speak their language and haven't chosen their form of life, and also have opposable digits that allow us to do other things that they can't, does not mean that dolphins are not our equals or our betters. Entirely possible. Entirely possible. I mean, even the judgment that, like, the lives that we live and the technology that we've developed, you know, the assumption that primitive, what we call primitive cultures, native cultures to different lands, that were, you know, living off of the land in huts and traveling to follow with the seasons and eating animals and had no technology, significant technology to speak of. These people were savages. Maybe they were just so fucking smart that they saw that if they started down this path that we've followed, it wouldn't end well. The way that most intelligent people are looking at the development of technology and going, you know, as nice as it is to have indoor plumbing, I don't think this is going to end well for us. I think we can all agree that out of those three options Jermacian proposed, to either hasten, retard or prevent our eventual demise, I think we're all in agreement. Hasten is the majority percentage in that scenario. Most likely. Primitive, savage cultures, choosing to try and live in equilibrium with the world. They didn't even have, you know, engines. They didn't even have, you know, giant carbon-fueled machines made of thousands of tons of metal. Have you seen the old, like, electric generators? My God, to look at them. They're amazingly horrible. They're ingenious and they're horrible in the sense that, oh my God, look at all the resources that went into just that flywheel. Solid fucking iron, larger than a train. And, I mean, just look at a train in and of itself, but we got the Henry Ford Museum in Detroit, and we go and look at these giant ancient power generators, and, you know, the amount of energy to get it spinning, the whole concept was, if we can get this giant monstrosity of man's creation spinning, it's not going to want to stop spinning, and then we'll be able to keep it going with a lot less energy. Just fucking the amount of resources consumed by one of those beasts. Good God. Who cheered? Cheer 5. I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens, says Gohan. It's always aliens. It's always aliens. Cheer 5 to read a cheer, says a guy called Joe. I didn't... To read a cheer. Is that a poem you're starting? To read a cheer. I didn't see another cheer. Written by William Revell, by the way. To read a cheer. Maybe nervousness is a direct outcome of self-consciousness, or maybe vice versa. We're self-conscious because we're nervous. Interesting proposals. There's literally nothing we can do to answer this question because it's so ephemeral, but we can talk about it. We can talk about it. A guy called Jim, your ice cream has been sent. To read an ice cream. To read an ice cream. What is the nature of an ice cream? From whence come the ice cream? From whither it return? Hence unto for, et etc. ad infinitum, and poopy. Poopy doo. I need to slow down. If a cop drives by, I am so getting a ticket. 55 is how I drive. To stay alive, I go 55. There we go. Cheered 5. To wonder the fuck he is talking about. You are composing poetry. Good on you. Good on you. Nervousness, just one of the experiences we have that is surreal, that is a coloration of reality, that need not be there, and that in fact impact and impose a will other than our own onto the experiences that we have. In most scenarios, you do not want to be nervous when you are nervous. You would be so much more on the ball, so much more prepared, so much more ready to respond to anything if you weren't nervous in exactly the moment where you need to be all together, where you want to be all together, so you can present yourself professionally and cleanly, or however you want to present yourself. You are losing your shit due to nervousness. What the fuck? That is entirely an internal process. There is no exterior to that. Your nervousness caused by you that gives you trouble. And where Kenneth suggests it is a result of sentience and consciousness, I could definitely get on board for a result of sentience. The only reason why you can be nervous about what you're about to do in front of other people, standing up and giving a speech and that sort of a thing, is because you recognize yourself as a foreign entity, as a subject to the object of other people. You are an outsider. You are different. You are the one standing on the podium. Speed trap! You bastard. I'm getting on the horn right now. I'm going to warn all the other truckers. Cheer 5. What happened to the text replacer, Rainbow? Is it not working through Cheers? It's not going to work through ice creams, I'll tell you that. We don't have that technology. We can barely get the friggin' ice creams to show up. I don't have the technology to make your username or your bits appear. Right when you need yourself most is when yourself, like, runs away from you, and that cannot happen and would not happen if not but for your sentience telling you that there's a reason to be worried about these other people who are outside of me who will see me differently than I see myself. And then you get nervous. And in the, light of that observation, it seems rather reasonable, doesn't it? These other people are going to see me differently. So you've got your sentience, then you've also got your ego involved there, right? Because if you didn't have an ego and you didn't care how other people saw you, if it wasn't going to make you see yourself differently, how other people judged you after this event, after you stood and spoke or did whatever presentation or whatever it is you're nervous about, if it did not threaten to undermine your self-worth, then there would also be no reason to be nervous. So it's not exclusively sentience. It's sentience as well as concern for your interior world. Concern for that which we have just established over the course of the first 3 hours is not real. You're so concerned about your surreality. Parallel cheering time. What people forget, or don't realize, is that Neanderthals existed and they weren't human. We're Homo sapien. They weren't. And they weren't a precursor either. We existed with them, a separate race of intelligent beings, like dwarves living with elves. Wonder if they ever got stage fright. Yes, apparently. Wonder if they ever got stage fright. The dwarves or the elves? Or the orcs? Was it the orcs? The orcs were probably very, they seem self-conscious. They've got huge egos. That's clear. That's clear. How am I doing for gas and sleep? I'll probably need to sleep eventually. We're half and half, kind of both. Nice, so I can ice cream the F word now, says Kenneth? Yep! Go for it! I don't care. Won't hurt my ego. I'm not nervous. Where does nervousness come from? It's got to come from sentience. So the idea of sentience being a boon to us as a species, there's some drawbacks too, aren't there? Definitely some drawbacks. To recognize yourself as a foreign entity, to recognize yourself as a one tiny thing in a much, much larger universe. One person in a crowd of many. It's scary. Scary to have sentience in it. Causes anxiety and nervousness and all those things. Worried about how other people are going to react to you, respond to you, think of you. Worried that the crowd might get up and grab some pitch torches and come after your ass. Yeah, he pulled out too far. Says, well, he did stop for me. Thank you for stopping for me. Here's a love pat. It's kind of what I gave him for his effort. Sentience as well as ego, because As I say, I'm not nervous to do a live stream now. And here's the other thing. I definitely don't not have an ego. There's some quadruple negatives for you. Definitely don't not have an ego. But, I'm not worried about how you people are going to revalue and rejudge me. The ego is still in place. I still think I'm great. And, if you start saying things that make me feel less than great, then I'll start filtering them out. And I'll start, you know, discrediting you and saying, ah, yeah, but it's just you talking. Who the fuck are you? Because that's what an ego does, right? So my ego is still at work here. But I'm not worried that you're going to think I'm a douchebag. You know how I managed to pull off that trick? Still have an ego, fully operable, and not care if you think I'm an asshole? I already know I'm an asshole. That's how I pulled off that trick. I don't have to worry about you finding out the truth, you know? I know I'm a douchebag. I know I'm an egocentric, you know? I know. And I'm fine with that. I'm comfortable with it. Other people, it may cause you issues. But, you know, what are you gonna do? In the long run, my ego usually gives way. You know? What are you gonna do? That's my resolution. I admitted that I'm an asshole. Based on advice from Ani DeFranco. Just give up and admit you're an asshole. You would be in some good company. And I think you'd find that your friends would forgive you. But maybe I am just speaking for me. Tier 5, you could make a ton of money whoring yourself out of Twitch, doing stunts for large cheers, Sister Mason? Yeah, there's a lot of things that, you know, I don't know what you're getting on about there. Is it something like if I cared? I don't know. I don't know, Jermaine, what you're saying. I could make a lot of money whoring myself out doing stunts for large... Oh, because I don't care I'm an asshole? Is that the thing? Now that I don't care I'm an asshole, I could just go do... I do have standards for myself. But the thing is that those standards are not my decision. You know? Here's what I've found over the course of life that I will pass on to those of you who haven't seen this yet, either by virtue of age or not having spent 3 years on a Zen mat. What I have noticed is that all the things that I like to identify as myself, is me, that the ego wants to defend because that's me, most of those things I have no choice in. I have very little choice in, anyway. I could put a supreme amount of effort into changing them by changing my behavior over time, and then change the way that I think via changing my behavior, change the way that I react and respond, change what is natural and normal for me. I can do that. I know, because I've practiced Zen, and that's 90% of practicing Zen. But what I've also observed in the process of doing that is that most of that shit I didn't really make an active choice in. You know? I didn't make an active choice in not liking Fallout 4. I opened it up, I started playing it. It seemed like one game, it turned into another game. And then my natural emotional experience, without logic, without ration, without reason, without me sitting down and coming up with... Like, now I look back and say, well, they went in 2 different directions with their storyline. They introduced the game as one thing and another. And then it's an open sandbox, and I wasn't, you know, at the right time in my life. As I have said multiple times already, it's all bullshit, retroactive, Monday morning quarterback reasoning that isn't real. What's real is in the moment you experience it. And your experience is your experience. Your experience that we've also talked about that isn't real. It's not what's happening, it's your coloration. But your coloration is your experience that you're having. In that sense, it is real. It's real to you, and since it is real to you, pretty big fucking deal, you know? There are whole quantitative fucking measures of the universe aren't a big deal in reference to you and your life. Yeah. Not as much as your actual experience. regardless of the fact that your experience is surreal. It's subreal. Or super real. Because there is something real at the core of it, but you tack a lot more on. Just naturally, by being a human being. What the fuck was I saying? I went off on a tangent there that surely related to what I was talking about, but I lost it. I lost the anxiety and nervousness. I was on a good path there too. It's just gone now. Been sitting here for an hour, forgetting I was going to play Fallout 4, says a guy called Jim. Sorry, I have a tower to build. Sorry, I brought it back up. I prefer the hyper-real to the surreal, says Bearsuit Lane. Well, there you go. That's what I was talking about. That's your preference. That's your preference. Why do you prefer it that way, Bearsuit Lane? And the correct answer is, I don't fucking know, I just do. Any other reason is your bullshit Monday morning quarterback rationalism after the fact. You're tacking that on. But the reality of your surreality is you felt what you felt when you felt it. People don't like mushrooms. Say, I hate mushrooms. Why? Because I fucking hate mushrooms. Because when I put them in my mouth and taste them, I don't like the taste on my tongue. It's as simple as that. You can train yourself to like mushrooms. It's a Zen saying, if you chew anything long enough, it tastes good. And that's not about food. That's not about food. Tier 5. Oh my god, me too, says a guy called Jem. I love mushrooms, Jem, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Mushrooms fucking suck. I'm sorry, I love mushrooms. I eat fucking white button mushrooms, just raw, just a handful. Sometimes I don't even wash them off, but that's more about laziness than preference. But I love mushrooms in all their forms. But the reason that I use mushrooms is because when I was a child, I spake as a child, I thought as a child. When I became a man, I put away childish things. When I was a child, I hated mushrooms. They're slimy little gooey things, and you know, you get one on a pizza, or somebody wanted mushrooms on their pizza, and I don't want the mushroom pizza, and then I get it, and I was a kid, and I'd get a little piece I didn't see there, and I'm like, oh, mushrooms, I hate mushrooms, mushrooms. And those were my taste sensibilities when I was a child. Why? Because that was what my tongue told me. Because that was the experience I had. I ate them, and I didn't like them. Why? There is no why. There is only the I didn't like them. The why is imaginary. So I didn't like them, and then I spent, you know, until I was like 19, 20 years old not eating mushrooms because child me's tongue said, I don't like these. And then, at age 19, 20, something like that, somebody served me something with mushrooms, and I went, yeah, fuck it, I'll try it. Just because, you know, it was that day. It was just, I didn't, you know, no big deal. Sure, yeah, I'll try it. And I tried them and went, oh, these are fucking awesome. I love mushrooms. Oh my god. And I felt like I'd wasted a decade of my life telling myself that I didn't like mushrooms because the child me remembered not liking mushrooms. And I just hadn't tried them all that time. Mushrooms, oh my god, they're awesome. I love them. I don't need to stop for gas. I don't need to sleep. I'm just going to make the delivery. I'm going to make the delivery, and then if we do another one, this is where I'll stop and sleep on my way out. Because I am, or it will send me back to Reno, and maybe with a full tank and something, because something's up here. It should not have sent me back to Reno before. But so, you know, why nervousness? Why all that? Well, it just is the most important thing that you can observe about it. You feel nervous when you feel nervous. But where does it come from? If I had to guess, because that's all you can do, if I had to play Monday morning quarterback, it has to do with sentience, believing yourself to be a subject opposed to objects, believing yourself to be a person amongst other people, and it has to do with ego and your concern that those other people will not like what you're doing, what you're saying, will not respond favorably to you, that they will not give you the feedback that you want to receive. It has everything to do with desire. Tier 5. You have more taste buds when you are younger. You lose some as you grow older, and food does taste the same. What? Food doesn't taste the same, I'm assuming is what you meant, Jermacian? Okay. Okay. I developed a taste for so many things while I was at the Zen Center. things that I'd never tasted before, things that I had tasted before, but that it was a very big part of the Zen practice and my Zen master's teachings to say, listen, I don't care what you think you like and don't like. This is not about you. We are explicitly engaged in an activity that is trying to get you to see what you are, where you, like, what the boundaries of you actually are, and to see how fucking stupid it is. So, I don't care if you don't like eating mushrooms. I don't care if you don't like this. This is what we're eating today. You're here. Show up to the activity and eat what you don't like. You're not gonna die from it. It's not poison. It's just something... Fuck. It's just something you don't like to do. Get over yourself. And I've told this story before when we had a new Zen student to the party who was just strictly vegan. And strictly vegan and way into bread, and Zen Master took us all out to a restaurant, and he wouldn't have any of it. He wouldn't have any of it. He wasn't having a bit of what we were ordering. Because he was my Zen Master, knowing we had a vegan who was like strictly vegan. I mean, we're monks. We practice veganism. We were practicing raw foodism. Okay? We didn't eat anything that was cooked. Let alone plant, or I mean animal life. Absolutely not. We're monks. Went out, ordered us a whole bunch of meat. Why? Why do you think? We had a kid with us who was so stuck on himself and his own ideas and his own conclusions and his own, no, I don't eat meat, and these are my reasons, these are my rationales, and this is why, and it's bad for, and the animals, and boo-hoo them, and all that kind of shit. And Zen is a practice wherein you let go of all of that shit. You recognize that all that shit is a lie you've been telling yourself, just like all of the reasons and rationales you have for all of your behaviors and all your activities. The reason I don't like mushrooms is blah, blah, blah. No, you just don't like mushrooms. That's it. And by the way, because you don't like something, doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. Just means you don't like it. It's not a preference. Cheer 5. Skip a few meals. Anything will taste great, says Zerglop. Hey. It sounds like a Zen saying. The Zen saying that I stuck with, that I liked, was, anything you chew long enough tastes good. And I found that at the Zen Center to be true. It's not about food. It's about any activity that you take on long enough, that you continue to do over and over again, that you hate. You start out, you hate it. It's just, the flavor of it is horrible. Any activity that you take on, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. It becomes second nature, it becomes habit, it falls into the background, and it's just not a thing anymore. And Zen is very much driving at the experience of just it not being a thing. Because it's not a thing. It's not a thing until you make it one. My Zen master is quoted as saying, nothing matters until you decide it does. You make it matter. It's your mind, it's your decision, it's your opinion, it's your experience that you are coloring, that is being colored naturally by your, emotions and your moods and all that shit. Sure, that's all happening. What am I doing? You need to spin around and come in it from this direction, you dumbass. There is a real experience that is taking place, and then there is the experience that you are having in your mind, in your head. And they are two entirely different things. And the difference between your experience and what is really happening has everything to do with you. The ego, the sentience, the idea that you are separate from everything around you, that the end of your fingertips is the end of you, that your opinions mean something, that your ideas matter. That your ideas and your opinions are you. They're not just the opinions and the ideas that come through your head. That's all that they have to be. That's all they really are. They're thoughts firing in your head. They're emotions firing in your stomach. In they're chemical whatever. You can say that they are whatever they are. At the end of the day, if you're being scientific about it, they are not you. They're just events. The idea of you as a person, when you get down to it at its bare bottom, I've talked about this before in other Zendnesdays, you are just an event. Here now, Gone later. Passing through. Yes, go that way and back in, Sister Mason. Yeah, that would have been smarter from the start, wouldn't it? You are an event taking place, and you will be over soon. Relative cosmos here, but you know, you're an event taking place. You're not an individual entity as much as you are more an event than you are an individual entity. You come and you go. You take place. You are not made of some special material. You are not born into the world by Samantha from Bewitched who wiggled her nose and made you magic. You know, nobody here, as far as I can tell, wants to talk a damn bit about any kind of creationist nonsense. That we were created by a god who wants us for a certain reason and who has expectations and demands on us. Nobody here apparently is of a mind of that. Well, then what are you? If you are a naturally occurring phenomenon that I want to call an event as opposed to an individual, if that's what you are made of everything that came before you. You are not something new. You haven't been created. You're not something special. You are the way that energy from everything that ever was has happened to appear right now. In the stream of time, you are a momentary whirlpool. Here now, gone later. While you're here, you seem very real. And you have major influence and impact on the stream itself. You will be gone. And when you're gone, everything that you are will simply return to doing what it was doing before or go on to doing something else. Presently, you are in the state of being the whirlpool in the stream. Soon you will no longer be the whirlpool in the stream, but you will emerge as something else in the stream. Because you have to. Because energy is not destroyed. Cheer 5. Are we going to do another Freeant run? Yes, me too. Jermacian, thank you, Jim. Jermacian cheering 5. We were created by an alien race who lost a bet, says Jermacian. Okay, well then the alien race is a whirlpool in the stream. And presently, the alien race has created a smaller set of whirlpools. You know, this form that we have, this life, this energetic being, this appearance of the whirlpool, this appearance of man, is just that, energy coalesced and doing a certain thing right now. And it is entirely natural. It's as natural as a whirlpool, right? No God creator. You guys hate that. No creator, no magic, no mysticism to it. It's just the nature of the universe to make people on certain planets. To make planets, to make stars, to make all of this stuff. And the energy of the stars becomes the dust of the... and the dust becomes the... and the planets become the... and then the Earth peoples, as Alan Watt put it. Like an apple tree apples, the Earth peoples. That's natural. You perceive yourself as this event. You're not this event. You are a momentary... This is a momentary event that is occurring based on what you actually are. You existed long before this event, and you will exist forever. And that is a scientific position. Energy is not destroyed. Even if you say, well, it's all going to end in heat death and just background radiation, you will be that heat death and that background radiation. You will be eternal. Immortal. Forever. This is a fleeting experience. Cheer 5. What did I just walk into here, says On the Edge? A fleeting experience. We're just having fun, says Tremacian. We are the product of 400 million years of evolution. It's time we started acting like it. That's right. This is a very natural thing to happen. It just happens. It just happens. The star's star, the star's planet, and the planet's people. Sometimes, the planet's gas and the animal, and they do all of other kinds of things. stars cool and become the material that becomes planets. We are all stardust, which is to say that before there was anything, we were there. Because there is no before there was anything. For there to be what is, there was always the potential of what is. In other words, there was always the energy requisite for what is. It was eternal from day one. It was immortal from day one. The universe. The energy that formed what we call the universe, that creates this illusion and these experiences. That was always there. And we, being a product of those energies, simply swirling in a certain way. If all of the energies of the universe are a stream, then we are simply that same water, that same energy, doing a certain thing right now that appears this way. But before this, we were that. And before that, we were the thing before that. We were the stars. We were the vacuum. We were the emptiness into which the universe existed, into which the universe came to be. We have always been the energy. We will always be the energy of the universe. And our experience as people is just that, an experience. Just like being nervous on stage. You know what happens with being nervous on stage? You get off stage and you stop being nervous. Nervousness comes and goes, like every fucking other event ever, as a natural precept of reality. Nothing stays the same. Everything is active, everything is fluid, everything is changing. Look at a block of fucking iron sitting there, and if you can zoom in far enough, you will see so much activity. So many electrons bouncing all over the place. Expansion and contraction. Molecules jumping around. Fucking gluon fields where quarks and quanta are just like... they're popping in and out of existence at different points and shit like that. So much going on in something that is completely... that appears completely stable. That's the nature of reality. And science does not disagree. Pauline, was asked a question. Real talk, please. What was the question I was asked? What the fuck are we doing? I've heard that a lot. Pauline, talk to me, Goose. Some wisdom from Nobot via Germasian. It don't make no difference whether you do right or wrong. A person's conscience ain't got no sense and just goes for him anyway. If I had a yaller dog that didn't know no more than a person's conscience does, I'd poison him. Pison. That's how it was written. I'd poison him. It takes up more room than all the rest of a person's inside, and yet ain't no good no how. Jesus Christ, how prophetic and, like, perfect to the moment, huh? For that piece of wisdom to come out. I've been talking about all the surrealities that we exist with. The more than consciousness that we experience just being human beings. And then, here's a little quote talking about how, boy, that conscience that we've got, if I could get rid of it, I sure the hell would, because it doesn't matter whether I do right or wrong, I still find a way to punish myself. That is a lot of people's experiences, isn't it? I do the right thing, what I think is the right thing, I still worry about whether it was the right thing, whether it was the rightest thing, or whether I should have done the wrong thing, because the wrong thing in the long run might be righter. If I do the wrong thing, well, then I punish myself for not doing the right thing. Survivor's guilt and shit like that. I feel guilty because I'm still here because the bad thing didn't happen to me. I'm such a horrible person. What the fuck is that about? Talk about not logical, not real. But it's what we do, and it's the experience we're having, and it's real in the sense that we're having it. This is our shared illusion. We are engaged in a dream that we are experiencing all together. Experiencing ourselves subjectively. Or, a more clear way to say this, we are experiencing ourself subjectively. Because while we appear presently to be one whirlpool in the stream, the whirlpool is an event that is made of the stream. There is no boundary to the edge of the stream, of the water that makes the stream possible. The energy that is the universe is you. This isn't your shoulder. You know? This shoulder isn't the edge of you. Right? It's the edge of me, motherfucker. It's not the edge of me. My mind is not the edge of me. My fingers are not the edge of me. This universe is a constant everything moving all at once. It's a dance that doesn't stop, where everything interacts with everything else, and to have a perspective and to actually believe that what I am experiencing in this little body is the end of me is unscientific, as well as kind of dim, right? You are everything. I am everything. The experience that we're having right now is a moment out of the infinite that we are. Because it can't be any other way. We're not visitors in this universe. We're not hosts of this universe. We are this universe. There isn't an object and a subject. Don't get nervous on stage. Don't get nervous for this reason. You are not a subject. They are not the object. You are the audience, watching yourself, who gets to have an experience from within for the sake of your fucking entertainment, your amusement, because it's natural, because it's just what the universe does. It is nothing special, and also incredibly special and unique. Maybe that's the way to say it. It's nothing special, and it's incredibly unique. And maybe that's what makes it worth having. And maybe that's why we, the universe, decided to create it. There's no creator, Paul, not even us. Okay, fine. Pawnee, says a guy called Jim. What? Salty pie. Have I been ignoring pie? Watch footage of an incident attack happening and see people running over each other rather than help each other so they can save their own ass, Sister Macy. What? What does that mean? Does that undermine my premise somehow? That people are so confused by the delusion, like, that they treat each other like objects? Like, that's what I'm saying. Don't be nervous. Don't treat each other like objects. They're not outside of you. They are you. They are you. No man, what does the poem go? No clod be washed away to sea that I don't feel it, you know? I am not an island. No man is an island entire unto himself. You aren't. You aren't. It's impossible to be. Is he endlessly saying pawn again, or why am I asking? Of course he is, and the stream chat verifies it. Yeah, I don't see him even trying to. If he had something that he wanted to say earlier that I missed, he's not even trying to say it again, so I'll catch it. He's just trying to get my attention. Jim, just for a sec, you're talking up like 90% of chat. Feeling super zen if I do say so, says On the Edge. Well, then maybe it's time to close this live stream down. We've hit the apex of this particular whirlpool of an event. Yeah, this game somehow ends up tracking my mouse, even when it's the software compels it to go somewhere else. This game is tracking my mouse via hardware. Ah, and not a lot of games do, because I haven't had this issue before with any other games. That's what we just learned today. That and, you know, our immortality and the nature of the universe. But also, that mouse cursor, hardware mouse cursor. So, you know, we've discovered a lot of important things. Pawn, my man, we could really do with another hour of stream right now. By we, I mean me, but also we. No, by we, you mean me. By which you mean all of eternity and existence itself. For you are God, and so am I. And together we form Captain Planet, and we will just, it's gonna take pollution down to zero. Bitches. Pawn, why are you going to do another hour of ATS, and why is it after the break? When are you going to do another hour of ATS, and why is it after the break? No. Don't be nervous. Don't treat each other like objects. They don't exist. That's right. That's right. You don't exist. This is a delusion that you are having. You are dreaming right now. The question is, what kind of dream do you want to have? Because you're not getting out of the dream. Not for a couple of 100 billion years, probably. Once this thing starts, this whole universe thing, it has a tendency to just, it's kind of like a giant iron wheel that's for making power. Once you get that fucker started, it just wants to keep rolling. So it's got to kind of tire itself out. You're not getting out of this experience. Now that you know that it's a surreal dream, that it's a illusion that you're having, what kind of illusion do you want to have? Because you can be the puppet master. when you stop worrying and learn to love the bomb. Next time, let's see the cab customization option, says Major Lord Exilbirth. Okay, remind me again when we get there, but now that you've asked me this time, we'll look into that. I need to get some little dangly bowls. I need some bowls hanging from my windshield. You mean this game has a higher level of perception than other games, says Kenneth1? You could say that American Truck Simulator has awakened. That was a little delayed from when I meant it to happen. Goodbye, ATS. Thank you guys for coming out. Wow, if all of eternity in existence needs another hour of stream, then we shouldn't. We should go ahead and do it, I guess. More ATS, please. No. We've come to the end of a very good Zendnesday live stream, and here's the thing, okay? All this time I've been talking about your experiences being more than your consciousness, about being delusional, about being colored by things that have everything to do with your own experience, your own perception, your own perspective, your own definitions of reality. That you are not perceiving what is real, you're perceiving what you are perceiving. That no one else is perceiving quite the way you are, which is what makes this experience worth having, and interesting, and unique. So let me say this, in the first hour of the live stream, I start talking about this stuff, right? Noah's in chat, and I think what he hears as I'm saying it is he interprets my words to be that I'm saying, you know, something about souls or creation, or because you hear me say you are experiencing more than consciousness, and you assume, some people, and it felt like Noah assumed, that I was going to be talking about, you know, there is another higher being involved here, you know, that not everything is brain activity. And I'm not saying that, but that's not what I was getting at then. But that's what was being heard. So the first hour of the live stream, we get to the last live stream break, I would say, looking back at that experience, I would say my colored perception of that was that I was just frustrated a little bit. I was like, Jesus, you know, God, I've talked for an hour and somehow people, you know, just not like, how can you not be catching on? And then we get into the second hour, and I try and refine what I'm saying, and you know, learn from the experience of not being understood, and learn what language isn't landing, and try and find another way to say it. And the rest of the stream feels a different way to me. That first hour felt like it built to a point of like conflict, and it has a different color in my memory. And then the last 2 hours of the stream have had a completely different feeling to them, and have a different color in my memory. That experience that I just had wasn't real. Didn't take place. I felt frustrated, but there's no external frustration. There's no reality of frustration, you know? Science would argue that this is all brain spinning because fear of death, but science is forgetting that it is here because of an event that is weirder than you could ever think of every damn time. Science, properly used, would not argue that this is all brain spearing because of fear of death. Atheism would argue that because they misuse science. Science would not discredit that which it cannot disprove. It wouldn't do that. You know? Science maintains all possibilities until they have been eliminated. And the sort of things that we've been talking about all live stream are things that are so ephemeral that science has trouble saying anything about them. This is more philosophy than it is science. We're reaching to science, and, you know, I'm pulling things out of science and saying, you know, scientifically speaking, everything I'm saying is still valid. I haven't abused science or, you know, or ignored some reality in anything that I've said. But that is probably why we got off D at the beginning on the wrong foot, and why Noah got so frustrated is because I was saying atheism has a tendency, like Christianity has a tendency within its religion, to take its perspective out of context and abuse something bigger than it. Atheism is not science. Atheism likes science, but they don't use it well. You know, and it's not saying that, just like I would not say about a Christian that, you know, Christians abuse Christ's doctrines. I wouldn't say that. I'm not saying that about all Christians. I'm saying there's a lot of Christians out there who are abusing Christ's doctrines. Similarly, atheism, who, if it has a God, the God is science, abuses science on a regular basis. It assumes that there is nothing more to this existence than what is easy. It assumes that it knows, because it understands Darwinian evolution, that no, it's simple. There is so much depth to science, and there is so much that science would not say, and would not say. No. The idea that there's no afterlife, science would not fucking weigh in there. Because the only data that science has about whether there's an afterlife or not is human reports about afterlives. So pretty much all the evidence that we have from science about whether there's an afterlife or not says there's an afterlife. Because people either come back from being dead and report, I didn't experience anything, it was like time just skipped a beat, or they come back from being dead, medically dead, confirmed dead, and they report, I experienced all this shit while I was dead. If science had to start weighing in on there, it would have to lean in the direction of there would appear to be an afterlife. And science isn't going to do that because there's not enough evidence and you can't confirm it. And it's just humans talking about things that they experienced in their head, which is all surreal and all delusory. And that's what we've been talking about the whole goddamn live stream. We often think about the butterfly effect with regards to time travel. How much can you mess things up if you go back and change things? But we never think about how much we change things now by just existing, says Bearsuit Lane. You change things in every single way because you are existence. There's no edge to you. Atheism, I don't believe, requires a disbelief in afterlife, just a disbelief in God is on the edge. Possibly. I actually don't know what the literal definition of atheism would be. Not theistic. So no God. Yeah, that's all it takes. But I do get frustrated with how atheism abuses science. Because just because you say there's no creator God, or there's no God at all, does not resolve the fantastic, amazing, and surreal universe that we live in, nor the experience that we have that is even more surreal than this fantastic, amazing, and surreal universe, because most of it is happening in our minds. More of it is happening in our minds than not. Some of us are advanced AI chatbots, though. Cough. Jim repeating pawn over and over. Cough. Talking about science as if it's anything other than a series of processes through which we observe and learn is foolish. Yes. Trying to say what science says is almost as foolish as trying to say what Zen says, which is what I come and show up and do here every day, and I hope you are aware, because I have tried to communicate it in several ways, and always do, that my perspective is flawed. And that should be obvious. We shouldn't even have to say that. Because your perspective is flawed too. Everyone's perspective is flawed. And everything that we perceive is based on flawed perspective, so everything is flawed. Fuck, this stream was exhausting, says a guy called Jim. Good. I wore you out. Time to get yourself a nice sleep. I am the Ronin Pawn. And we will be back here at twitch.tv/RoninPawn on Friday for a non-Wednesday Zendnesday, where we do not tear at the loose threads in the fabric of reality, where we just play some games and have some fun. There's some things on our horizon in terms of games. Those include Myst 3 Exile, which is the sequel to Riven, which was the sequel to Myst. It's the third in the series. I've also got Hacknet, some more Factorio, Superflight, we're running Prison Architect. I just got the Totally Accurate Battlegrounds that you should pick up because it's free. Also, I gotta do this. Pawn out!